worthless self-promoter. I mean, andrewsmith.co.za. I mean, come on, geez. I'm not that worthless. You know what I'm saying? Remember, it's andrewsmith.co.za, and just hashtag it, and then we can have some fun. But we're going to go through some content now. If there's a technical difficulty of sorts, we'll figure it out along the way. But we are going to be going. I just want to put my chat function on here quickly so that I can see your chats coming through to me. Just give me a second. Otherwise, I can't see the string of chats. Okay, so here we go. Let's get cracking. No, we don't want to see that again, Andrew. We've done that. All right, so welcome to Zoomination. Zoomination, just for those of you that don't know what it is I started the Zoomination when load shedding happened, because there were a lot of guys out there. I coach a lot of business owners, and there's a lot of guys that are really struggling out there to obviously build their businesses and so forth. And so I created the Zoomination more as a tool just to do ongoing training, to keep people in the loop. And the basic things that we do in terms of Zoomination is we create a learning platform, get insights, ideas for your business. Like we said on the car talk, it's also just a place to connect weekly for motivation, ideas, strategies, etc. And as a business owner, the one thing that I've learned is that it's really difficult to stay positive and motivated all the time. It's difficult to stay fired up all the time because 90% of what we try to achieve doesn't work. 90% of what we try to do turns to crap, and it doesn't work. And so it's very, very important that you plug into something. And obviously this is your time. I like to say this is your time for business, because I'll tell you what happens is you get to the office and then people are they're stealing your time. You can never ever get things done. I know business owners that go to the office at like 3 a.m, because then at least they have 4 hours or 5 hours of actual time that they can work, where people are not hogging their time and stuff like that. And so that's what Zoomination was really designed for. It's obviously a weekly pump up session. I'm not a motivational trainer or speaker, but I am known to kind of razzmatazzle things up a little bit. And obviously on Zoomination, we actually give you homework to do to enhance, grow yourself, grow your team, grow your business, and so forth. So we do give homework on Zoomination in the normal weekly thingy, Zoomination. And then of course there's an accountability over here. And what I've learned is that to stay motivated, you've got to plug into something bigger than what you are. Otherwise, you don't stay motivated. And so because I give out homework, because I do, obviously create an environment for growth and prosperity, I encourage people to plug in and, do the homework and stay plugged in tight. And so that's what we're doing during Zoomination. Niran has just asked, can we record it? Yes, you can. Just so you know, we are reading your messages on the platform. And obviously, it's a discipline, to report, report to somebody else other than yourself is part of the discipline itself. Okay, so, who am I? I've been in business since 1995. So basically, I'm over the hill. I'm like an utopia already, but check out my hair. I tell you something, I got my new hairstyle. I look young. I'm a multiple business owner. I've been in business a long time. I get bored growing one business, and then I grow another one and another one and another one. And everybody that's ever been through coaching with me, they know that I own multiple companies. I did a little bit of platform speaking and training worldwide. I traveled all around the world, and I did training and speaking on an international stage, which was a lot of fun. I'm a business strategist and an out-of-the-box thinker. That's what I love doing. I'm very, very good at it, actually, is to think up ideas and think up out-of-the-box stuff, outside the norm. I'm pretty good at that. I am a business coach. It took me a long time to acknowledge the fact that I actually do business coaching, but I ran a program called Club CEO for a long, long time. I do one-on-one coaching as well. And obviously when COVID came, this kind of, winded us a little bit and we couldn't do that much. John did talk about my golf. I'm pretty much an up and down golfer. Sometimes I'm up, but most times I'm down. And I'm an apprentice comedian. I'm pretty good at almost getting people to laugh. And so if you've laughed right now, I've succeeded in getting an audience to chuckle. The serious thing that I love the most is building businesses. This is what I do every day of my life. I love building companies. So just a quick portfolio of my businesses, not to brag or anything like that, but there's a lot of guys on this platform that don't know me. I don't know why this thing every now and then hangs in there. So this was a company I started. You can see there 2007, if you do your maths right, what's that, 14 years ago. H2O, it was a water business that I started, and it was a huge success and took off really, really well, national setup. And then we had load shedding. And when load shedding came, I created this company called Generate Power Solutions. I sold the company in 2012. Then when I did my international training stuff, we launched the World Success Corporation, which was my international training company, and that took us around the world. And then I did something that actually drove me crazy, is I started a company called Gap Entrepreneur to teach youngsters how to start a business. And I didn't enjoy it because I actually realized that I prefer to deal with people that are already in business and not so much people that want to start a business. And it became a bit of a challenge for me. And then the follow-on to Gap Entrepreneur was on the Apprentice CEO. And this is when I took a person out of one course. They graduated into the Apprentice CEO. And this is where we started a lot of business partnerships and that type of thing. And then because I was traveling on around the world, speaking on stages, telling people about how to build their websites and how to market online, I realized there was a massive shortage of web developers. And if you're a web developer, don't take this the wrong way. I found there was a lot of web developers that were building digital brochures and they weren't building converting websites. And so we launched NVMyBrand, and that is a brand that we still have today. And we've got a team out there that cover it. And of course, when load shedding started again, because I'd sold the previous company, we launched NVMyPower. And once again, just servicing the need. Remember, whenever there's a need, you create a company to service the need, and then that's how you make money. Obviously, NVMyGrowth was my seminar business, and we had a lot of business with that. But with COVID, that has come to a grinding halt, unfortunately. And then we launched officially the AWS brand, and that was in 2014. So how time flies, 7 years ago. And as you know, I've got my Andrew William Smith page. We do posts, we do car talk, I do business coaching, training. And I've used this platform to kind of build a nice brand. And we've had some great success, especially with car talk. It's been great fun. We get a lot of positive feedback, and it's a nice place for people to go to. And then business automation. I remember there's a couple of things I teach. Number one is get out of your business, get out of your own way. Don't work, in your business, work on your business. And of course, BizBot is a business automation software, a company that we bought, and that's doing well. We started an online clothing shop. We started a video marketing company called NVMyVideo. We started we launched Power Telecoms, which is a telecommunications company as well, and that's also been part of the offering. And then with a lot of my clients, people that I coach, they keep on asking me, Andrew, can you do Facebook marketing for me? And of course, the answer is always, I can do it. I just don't have time to do it. And so I launched FB2Go to assist business owners to get leads and to build funnels and to build brands and all that type of thing. And so that's what that company does. We launched an app in America called the BLP, the Business Learning Program, and that hasn't taken off as well as I'd hoped, because obviously it's all in America, and Americans they're different to us. And then obviously we registered companies overseas, and we registered this company, Multime, which is to assist businesses to open businesses internationally. And then Accounting Connect was another natural extension of what we did. I'm in seminars and I'm telling people, make sure that your accounting is in place, make sure that all your business practices are done properly. And so Accounting Connect, I partnered up with an accountant. Obviously, I'm not an accountant, but I partnered up with Johan, and we build Accounting Connect together. And then obviously, when there's a crisis, what Andrew does is he steps up and he creates a business. And we launched SteriTab Lab in the height of obviously COVID, and it's quite crazy that there were probably 10 suppliers of sanitization / cleaning product in this framework before COVID, and there's probably about 35 million companies that are trying to do all the same thing. But even through that all, we've actually done quite well. And then ZoomRoom is our online learning platform. We actually launching sequential learning programs online, and we allow companies to put their training program on our platform. We also do training ourselves on there. We do Facebook training, we do business training, and of course we also have courses that are accredited for CBD points and all that type of thing, also on ZoomRoom, which is quite cool. So that is it. In my short life, I've done that, but you didn't come here to hear about me. You came here to learn some new business techniques and so forth for yourself. And so our itinerary for tonight is as follows. So it's I'm going to be going through the 4 phases of a business. We're going to be adding some solutions to that 4 phases of the business. So the first phase is business mastery. We're going to go through an 8-point assessment tonight, and you're going to hate me. I know you're going to hate me. And then we'll have a short break. You can loo, smoke, wine, opener, whatever else. Phase 2 will be diversification and specialization of skill sets and so forth. And then once again, like I said, we'll have another break. And then we're talking about the exit strategy, how to either get out of your own way, get out of your own business and take a long, holiday, or, start something else. And then, of course, the last phase is reinvention. And so this should take plus or minus 3.5 or so hours. And then we'll have a Q&A, a question and answer session where you can ask questions in the chat. Guys, I can't, unfortunately, let everybody, I can't turn on everyone's microphones because there are too many people. I can't see now because I'm in the presentation how many people are registered, but it's probably 100 and something. And so when you've got 100 people in here, it's almost impossible to try and answer questions with people because they all speak over each other. So we'll be using the chat group. Please feel free to just keep on asking questions. A lot of the questions that you ask will be moderated by John and the team. And then anything that's business oriented, I'll be kind of checking it out every now and then in terms of how this works. All right, and then when we close, we can all sing the national anthem. We're going to stand up and sing the national anthem. Just kidding. And obviously the goal here tonight is to learn something you can apply in your business. Number 1. Number 2 is a takeaway. I want you at the end of the session to be able to say in the chat, my takeaway from the session is this. And then obviously in true form and fashion, I'm going to throw a special at you of some kind because that's why we do these types of things. And so let's get cracking. So the 4 phases, like we said, is business mastery, phase 1. You'll notice there's a little circle on the top right-hand side. That's our business wheel that we're going to go through. Phase 2 is obviously diversification, specialization. Phase 3 is our exit strategy, and phase 4 is reinvention. And so what I'd like to do just to kind of get cracking is I want you, let me just go back a slide here. This over here, we're going to be doing an assessment on this. And so I'll show you, just in terms of how we're going to do it. But the 8-point assessment tool is basically there to assess where you are in terms of your business mastery. How great are you in your company and your business? And so we're going to be asking a whole bunch of questions. So it would be a good idea if you take out a notepad, pen and paper, just a notepad, so that you can draw you can write out the answers and so forth for yourself. And obviously, like I've said over here, in order to understand our business, we need to get a blueprint success, and then obviously put a short assessment together. And that's why we do the assessment wheel. And of course, I designed the tool to showcase the elements. It's not there to make you feel bad, but it's there for you to have a look at what you're busy doing and then ask yourself the question, am I fulfilling or doing all these different things in my business? Okay, so here's the assessment business wheel. It looks like like a wagon wheel, and there's 8 elements to the business when we talk about business mastery. So number 1, accounting. Number 2, legal. Number 3, product or service. Number 4, your team. Number 5 is client acquisition. Number 6, sales protocols, fulfillment, and then obviously client re-engagement. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go to each one of these, and I'm going to just ask you a handful of stimulating questions. And then what I want you to do is I want you to score yourself out of 10. So let's just say we start with accounting. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. And based on the questions that I ask you, you're going to score yourself out of 10. And obviously at the end of this exercise, you're going to have a score out of 80. And your goal is to have more than 50 out of 80. That's what I deem to be quite a nice business, 50 out of 80. And so let's get cracking with that because there's a lot of things that we're going to cover. Okay, so accounting is normally the boring side of a business, and it's normally the side that your very right brain, creative, entrepreneurial persons, they don't get into it because it's kind of boring. I remember the first few years, in fact the first 10 years of my business, I literally took my box of slips to my accountant, dropped it off, and there was no reporting, there was no measurements, there was nothing. I mean, I had to do it, and that's why I did it. and it wasn't seen as an important element to my company. Whereas now, I feel that the reporting is amongst the most important things. And so we're going to go through a couple of questions, and I'm just going to put some pointers up here, and then at the end of it, you're going to score yourself out of 10. Okay, so number one is the accounting software that you're using, is it credible? You know, there's a lot of guys that actually use Excel. They use Excel spreadsheets for their accounting. They're not using a software like Sage or QuickBooks or one of these guys. So the software that you're using, is it a credible software that is accountable and also recognized by, obviously in South Africa, by SARS? Is your accounting cloud-based? You know, I'm absolutely gobsmacked sometimes to hear that there's businesses out there where their accounting is still, you know, on their desktop, and they take their stocky, they do a backup, and they go to their accountant, and they give the accountant their stocky at the end of the month, you know, at the end of every month. I mean, we're living in a digital age. The internet is here, it's live, it's real. And so is your business in the cloud? The reason we want to have our business in the cloud, number one, obviously, it is safe. I mean, no one's going to hack your business in the cloud. But number two is that you can access the information from anywhere. You can be in Timbuktu for whatever you care, and you can access your information, and your accountant can also plug in from wherever they are. So it just minimizes, you know, the fuss and the mess. Is your accounting in-house or is it outsourced? So, you know, you've got some guys that have got an accountant who works inside their business, and you pay them a salary and they're in-house. I always say that I always say it's normally better to have an accountant outsourced, because they take care of a number of clients, and they're learning all the new stuff, the cutting edge stuff that's happening. Whereas sometimes, and it's not always the case, sometimes an in-house accountant tends to just show up and do their work every day and then go home, and show up and do their work every day and go home. Outsource, you find that the people on the outside are seeing things and learning new ideas, new concepts, and so forth regularly. So is your business, is your accounting in-house or outsourced? Do you have a live accounting system? In other words, on-site invoicing, collation, and so forth. What this basically means is that when you go out and see a customer, you can do invoicing, you can do, you know, your quoting and everything live on site. What I find with a lot of small business owners is that they go out and do quotes, but then they don't have time to send the quote in the day. And guess what they do? They're sitting working until 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night to actually send out their quotes to clients and or invoicing. So is it a live accounting system? And is it something you can plug into? I mean, nowadays with your cell phone, you can literally, you know, with the software that's out there, you can create invoices from your cell phone and send it to a client right there and then. And a client can even click and pay right there and then. And so are you using technology? Are you a live accounting system, or is it still antiquated where, you know, things are old fashioned? You want to break the mold. There it is, automation software. Do you have an automation software that speaks to your accounting package? And what I mean by that is automation, business automation basically means that when the lead comes into your portfolio, your business, it gets captured on your system. Your system then, when you open up the client's details, you can then chat to the client, see what they want. You do a quote, it goes into the system. If you do work for them, it goes into the system. If you need to invoice them, it goes into the system. But does your automation software talk to your accounting package? This is an important thing, because if you're out in the field and a guy says, shucks, I want your product now, I'm in, can you do the invoice right there and then, or do you need to phone the office to please do the invoice, or wait until you get home that night and do the invoice? Because I've always said half the life of a good idea is 48 hours. And so sometimes a customer, they're in the mood to buy now. They want to purchase the product now. And then you say, I will send you an invoice tonight. And then sometimes something happens and you don't send it. I went into a BMW dealership. This is just crazy. I went into a BMW dealership, and there was an M4 on the floor. And I said to the guy, you know, how much is that and whatever else? And he said to me, sir, give me your email address and I'll email you a quote. And so I said to him, but I'm here now. I'm here now. Give me the now. And it was like his brain, you know, we are so programmed to send it later on email that he didn't get the sale. I actually went somewhere else and bought the same car somewhere else. And so you want to make sure that your accounting software and everything can create an outcome now and not tomorrow. Obviously, accurate reporting with your accountant. I actually met up with my accountant today, not my accountant. Well, he is my accountant. He's my business partner and my accountant. But what we're trying to do is we're looking for reporting that showcases how well your business is doing. Sometimes, you get a profit and loss statement, or you get your management reports and so forth, but nowhere in there does it actually showcase how well you're doing. How's your business actually faring? And sometimes the reporting shows money coming in and expenses, but it doesn't give you a proper, environment as to whether your business is really doing well. And so we want to try and break away from the GPs. We want to get to the actual profit. We want to know how much profit did we actually make, and where are we actually losing money physically. And I find that most times when we have an accountant or someone, we generally don't have that discussion, because especially when they're dealing with lots of clients, there's no individualistic reporting. And so it's up to you to ask your accountant to give you these reports so that you can understand how your business is growing, failing, and so forth. And then something I teach all the time is the silo effect. In other words, if you've got a range of products, group sets of products, that you actually work out your profits in a silo, profit and loss per silo. And there's a classic example that I always use. I did coaching for a driving school. They had 15 vehicles in their driving school. And I asked them, when we sat down, I said to them, okay, so tell me, show me your numbers. And what they did was they showed me the total turnover, and then they showed me the total expenses, and then the amount of money at the bottom. And I said, well, that's nice, but how much money is that car making, or how much money is that car making, or that driver making for you? And they were like, we don't know. And so they'd never worked out their profit in a silo. And so the exercise that I got them to do was to go back and work out the profit per vehicle. And they had 15 vehicles, and within a space of about 10 days, half of their drivers resigned. And the reason they resigned is because they were siphoning fuel, they were moonlighting, they were doing driving lessons on the side, on the sly. They were, one guy had a fuel bill of, let's just say, 3,000 Rand. And he brought in, 90 hours of work or 90 hours of clients. And then another driver had 7,000 Rand fuel bill, and he only had 75 hours of clients. And so there was a disparity immediately. And the reason they never picked it up is because they didn't silo their profits per product or service within their company. And so in your business, have you got your accounting program set up in a compartmentalized fashion so that you can see the different profits? So think of 2 or 3 companies that you have. You have 3 companies. You would want to know what each company makes. Want that each individual company's profits compartmentalized, and so your accounting system has to do the same for your business, depending on that which you're busy doing. Okay, and then obviously your tax setups, you want to make sure in your accounting framework that your tax setups are done properly. This is important, that you don't just give your money to SARS. I find a lot of guys just don't sit down and properly evaluate the SARS thing. And then obviously, does your accounting platform give you freedom between entities? In other words, you've got different entities that you can write off profits and losses. Now, if you have a creative accountant, you will be able to do this. But if your accountant is old school, boring, and they're not doing this for you, you're potentially losing a lot of money. And so I don't know if there's another point on there. Let me just see. Nope, that's it. Okay, so just in terms of the accounting side of things, score yourself just on the, I could ask you 1,000 questions about accounting. I could ask you 500 questions about accounting, but just on the accounting front, I want you to score yourself out of 10. Make a note, because obviously we're going to go through each one of these one by one. Okay, so the next element of the assessment is our legal setup. Remember, the number one thing that you don't want is to be able to build a business, and then you make a mistake on a legal point, and then you end up losing your business. And so you have to be a little bit responsible here. And so number one is your business legally registered. I coach a lot of guys that they are sole proprietors running the business through their own little bank account, and they're not legally registered as a company. It may not sound like a big deal, but you got to register your company properly. The second thing is, if you have partners, do you have partnership agreements drawn up? In other words, you and your business partner, are there clear lines built into the DNA, and is there a contract to state, what you who does what, and of course, the T's and C's between your partnerships. Something that a lot of people don't think about as well is when you have a business partner that's married, right? How are they married? Are they married community of property? Are they married anti-nuptially? Are they married anti-nuptially with accrual? Now, some people don't really think much about this, but today I sat in a meeting with someone who has a business partner, is a 50-50 partner with this particular individual. And I said, how is your business partner married? And he said, I don't know. Now, how does this affect you? Well, here's the thing. Let's just say that they are married anti-nuptially with accrual, which basically means two broke people meet each other. They form a contract that everything that they make after they are married is split 50-50. That's the same as community of property, 50. That unless you put it right into the DNA of the contract. But in this particular case, just think about this scenario is that you get divorced, or one of the partners get divorced, and a very creative attorney asks for the financials of your business because they want to see what the shares are worth so that they can take the money or the 50% of the share out of your business. I have seen companies close down because this was not taken care of and not addressed. Somebody I know who's we were business partners together, is that he asked me the first day we partnered up, he asked me, are you married ANC, CRP or whatever else? And he had actually gotten divorced. Him and his wife got divorced because they were married community of property. Remember, you put your spouse at risk if you own a business and there's any debt, and you can lose your house, you can lose everything because you haven't ring fenced it. So how is your business partnership set up, and have you written this into the DNA of your company from a legal point of view? Right, staff contracts. Do all of your staff have contracts? Are they drawn up by a proper labor attorney, or is it just something you downloaded off the internet, which is applicable in America, but it's not applicable in South Africa? My weakness is always I can do business on a handshake, and I'm like, hey, I'm good, I'm cool. You work for me, and I'll pay you at the end of every month. But if anything were to ever go wrong, do you have a contract? Do you have a contract to protect yourself, and obviously that your staff also feel protected? They need to have assurances, right? Then obviously service level agreements, memorandum of understandings with suppliers or partner companies. Have you got these documents in place? We just had a case recently where we actually had a supplier stealing one of our customers. So ISO 9001 or something created. If there's products involved, do you have the SABS? Do you have all the various different things, the SANS, the NRCRS? If you're in the building trade, for instance, whatever accreditations are there, do you have your registrations and certificates in place? A lot of companies fly by the seat of their pants, and you're never going to get those big deals. The big corporates, the first thing they ask for is registrations and certificates. They want to know that they can trust you beyond your word. It's not what you put on your website that determines how great you are. It's about your certifications in the back office. How thorough and how wholesome is the back office. Obviously, T's and C's on all products and services. Whenever you're selling a product or doing a service for somebody, you should have terms and conditions. And there has to be some documentation to support the T's and C's, because you can have a customer that says, no, you promised me this and you promised me that, but there's nothing on paper, there's nothing written. The customer is not signed for anything. And so that customer can make up pretty much anything they want to make up. I currently have a customer who is really difficult. This is a difficult person. And, in his mind, he believes that, this is what he should get. In our mind, we believe this is what we're going to give you. and there's a disconnect in the middle. But luckily, we have T's and C's built into our, our portfolio. And so that customer can't turn around and say, no, but you did this and you did that. We just said, here it is in the T's and C's. And so, if you want to sue us, you're more than welcome to do it. Go and do your thing, but we are protected. And so in your business, if you're doing a service for someone or you're selling them a product, is there something in writing that'll protect you if something goes wrong? And a lot of people just don't, I don't care about this. This is not important to me, but this thing can sink you. These kinds of things can sink you. And so you've got to take care of that very, very importantly. And then obviously contracts are drawn up. So whenever we draw up any contracts, the latest legislation, remember things change all the time. And so are your contracts up to date? Are they in line with legislation? I know when the Consumer Protection Act came out, it was a whole new thing and people didn't take it very seriously. But I also know some companies or some company owners that lost their shirt because they had not updated their contracts. I mean, we change all our contracts and it costs us a lot of money. You go to the attorney and they're not shy to put a contract together or do some changes for 10, 15, 20 grand. They're not shy. And so are your contracts drawn up and are they up to date in terms of legislation? And then in terms of your online platforms, in other words, your digital platforms, your website, your emails, have you got your privacy policies properly drawn out? Do you have a separate privacy policy page on your website? Have you got a terms and conditions page on your website? Because remember, if they go onto the website and there's no T's and C's, no privacy policy, they can say, well, you didn't tell me that it was there. But at the bottom or the base of most great websites, good websites, you'll see at the bottom it has a privacy policy or the terms and condition, and it must be written into the DNA of that. Now, a lot of guys say, where do I get the information from? Well, they are pretty standard things. Privacy policies are pretty standard. And obviously in South Africa, we have the POPI Act, the Protection of People's Information Act. And through this act, there's certain things that you have to have, protection of information. And so that has to be on your emails. And when you send out an email, there should be the disclaimers built into it and so forth. I think that's actually the next point. There we go. All emails obviously have to have the necessary disclaimers and so forth, just to protect yourself. Remember, when you send out an email to someone, it's a legal document, and you can be taken to town or taken to task on the fact that you don't have the disclaimers. And so sometimes I've had a situation where one of my staff members sent out an email to someone. There was no disclaimers. There was branding on the bottom of the email. And he mentioned something. He just said something that was what seemed to be a good thing to say, but it was the wrong thing to say. And then I got sued. And so just make sure that all emails and documentation going out is covered legally. So on a scale, there we go, one more. So do you feel protected completely? That's really the question. Do you completely feel that you are 100% covered? I know most businesses that I coach, they definitely are not covered. Many, many times they're like, look at my contract, we got this. And then I read it and I'm going, oh my goodness, you are in so much trouble if something were to go wrong. You don't want to get sued. You can have public liability insurance, but that doesn't pay out if you haven't got your paperwork in place. Just remember that. Insurance companies, their number one thing is to not pay you. So just be careful of that. So score yourself out of 10. I know that you probably want to kill me at this point in time because you're going, oh, I've only scored 1. But this is honesty time for ourselves. Score yourself out of 10. So Adele has asked, what would you include in a disclaimer? That is quite a long answer. You've got to, firstly, it's industry related. You've got to make sure that from an industry point of view, that you have all those things in there. So just go and find out. Sometimes a good way to find out what you need is go to your competitors and then check their paperwork out. Go onto their websites, go and check out what they have. And then you'll get a pretty good idea as to what you should probably have too. And hopefully your competitors have got that. There's any other questions on here? Can we see the 19 accounting points again? 19 accounting points. Cheryl, that might be a bit difficult. Let me see. Maybe I can go back. Let me see. This thing doesn't let me go back so nicely. Okay, I'll quickly stick it up there. Take a screenshot. There we go. Does your accounting platform give you freedom between entities, tax advantages? One back. So there it is. Take a screenshot quickly, Cheryl, and then we're good to go. So I'll give you a 5-point countdown. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we'll just quickly go through legal. And if you guys want to take a screenshot of that, get that done now quickly as well. Do you feel protected? Take a screenshot and we're good to go. Okay, right, let's talk about a product and service, product or service. Some of you in the service related type of business and some of you in the product related type of business. So let's have a chat and discuss the service side of things. So number one, is your product or your service relevant? So sometimes people say, yeah, I'm a plumber. Yeah, I'm relevant. And I go, okay, well, how relevant are you actually, and or your service, how you deliver the service? We've got a lot of guys that are out there. I mean, I coach a lot of people, or people come to me and they say to me, Andrew, I've got this amazing product and I want to sell this product. And then I look at it and I go, geez, dude, you're going to struggle to sell this product because it's not relevant anymore. So think of products that are obsolete. I mean, there's a million of them. Every time you open up your eyes, there's something's obsolete, especially now in the technology age and the information age. It's so easy for people to A, copy products and services, B, to create new ideas and new products. And COVID, we discussed this today, Johan and myself and Vian, we discussed this today, and we said it is quite amazing to think that COVID has been a catalyst to kill off a lot of ideas that are not relevant anymore. And so this is what we're noticing, is that there's a lot of businesses that just don't do, as well as what they used to do, because they're not as relevant as what they used to be. And so what you want to do is, I always say, we do a product scoping or a service scope, and we go back and we properly get some advice as to how relevant our product actually is, not what we think it is. And then can your clients see the fit or the advantage to using your product or your service? Is it blatantly visible? Can they really and truly feel that this is awesome? You know what I mean? They want to know that the product suits them. And so the secret to any product or service is the fit. You got to make sure that you've got that symbiotic fit, because ultimately at the end of the day, if a customer can't see that, they do the needs analysis and then fit the product to them, they're not going to buy the product from you. And what I've learned is that marketing, just in general, if your product doesn't have an obvious fit, what happens is the marketing costs you 3 or 4 times more, because there's no easy connection. When I went onto Car Talk yesterday and I said, you can come onto this thing free of charge, boom, suddenly the registrations came through thick and fast, because you watch Car Talk all the time. Maybe you want to learn some new things about your business, or maybe you're struggling, hit that glass ceiling, things are not working. And so you would then register because there was a fit. And sometimes you didn't have a fit. You just had a fit. And so sometimes it's important to do a reevaluation and find out, is it an advantageous product for a client to buy in the grand scheme of things? Because the more obvious it is, the more advantageous it is, the cheaper it is to sell and to market. Okay, are you in a position to charge what you want? Sometimes when you are in a sea of sameness, in other words, you're in an industry that you have, think of the insurance industry, there's 72,000 insurance agents out in the marketplace, all selling the same thing. They work for, let's say, Liberty Life or Old Mutual or Sunderland, whatever else. They're all selling the same product. So when we talk about can they charge something different, they actually can't, because they're in a sea of sameness. Now, if you're in a business where everyone's kind of charging the same thing, let's just say you're a plumbing business and you charge exactly the same as everybody else, then you can't charge what you want. Because if you don't have something that is wow, that a customer can't buy anywhere else, then what happens is you have the situation where you cannot charge what you want. And this is an important element to building up a great product portfolio and a success portfolio. Right? Have you discovered in your product and service what your competitive edge is? What makes you different to everybody else? What makes me want to buy from you before I go and buy from somebody else? Do you even know the answer? Have you ever even thought about it? We find that so many guys are just out there trying to sell, to make money, to cover the bills, they just really want to cover the bills. That's their number one thing. Let me cover the bills. But at the end of the day, we're trying to create an environment where there's something different about what you're selling. And so then you, like I said in the previous point, you can charge what you want, right? We recently had doctors and all kinds of things done. And I'm standing in the doctor's room, and there's a huge sign in the front over there that says, we are contracted out of medical aid rates. We XYZ, you charge, basically we charge you whatever the hell we want, because we don't care. Now, they're confident enough to be able to say that because they are very, very good at what they do. And so are you, or do you have that competitive edge? Right, and then obviously, do you have an exclusivity, right? Or are you just, like I said, the sea of sameness? Is there anything about what you do that can make you exclusive? And so, like we were chatting today, what makes Johan great as an accountant in my thinking is that Johan is a businessman and he's an accountant, and he can think up creative ideas for you. That's what makes him a great accountant. But some accountants can't do that. I'm just an accountant, I'm just going to do it this way, and that's just the way it's going to get done. And there's 12,000 accounting firms in South Africa, and I would say 11,000 of them all think like this. There's nothing exclusive about them. They're not unique. They're not, they don't have that out of the box thinking mentality. And so they don't. The greatest gift is your service is great. He saved me a ton of money because the services were done, were good. Okay, products and services. Do you have once-off? Is it a once-off profit, or is it an ongoing profit? And so I always try, whenever I look at a product or a service, I want to be able to service a client ongoing, because ultimately, at the end of the day, the ongoing service will always pay you dividends, right? Because then you can sell them stuff. I just want to check here. Every now and then I'm losing signal, and I just want to see that it's not going too good. We're all good. Okay. And so in terms of your product portfolio, is it an ongoing profit? In other words, we sell you something and then we sell you a warranty or a service plan or something like that after the fact? Or is it just a once-off? When you sell a person a house, you make your money, and then you never see the guy again for another 5, 8, 10 years because he doesn't need to buy another house. So if it was me, I'd be going, okay, well, I'm going to sell you a house. But then what I'll do is create a whole suite of products, other products, services, and so forth that I can offer you as a package. Garden services, I don't know, painting services, roof repair services. I would go and put together something allowing me to make profit ongoing in that framework. So do you have that? And then in terms of your product or your service, do you have an upsell, a cross-sell, a resell of your product or your service? In other words, where if you come in to buy one item, here's a classic example. So this is an Apple plug-in thingy. And so I go and I buy a brand new Apple laptop, and it's got this plug. I don't know what they call that, Super VGA, ABCEA, whatever else. And it's got this stupid little plug, which doesn't fit into which didn't fit in my old computer. So I had to go and buy this attachment. Okay. So I buy the laptop, and then they say, sir, you're going to need this. This thing, see this little piece of this little thing, $1,800, 1,800 Rand for this little thing. Now, I'm stupid with Apple. I'm totally stupid, but that's their model. They upsell you, they cross-sell you, and they resell you into products and services. So in terms of your products and services, are you doing that? Are you upselling and cross-selling? Do you have a mechanism in place to actually physically do that? Yes or no? Do you have an expiration date-based product? In other words, when they sell you milk in the shop, there's the expiration date is burnt on the side of the cardboard box. And guess what happens? The day that it expires, you're going, oh, I've got to finish this milk. So what are you doing? You're busy eating 5 bowls of Kellogg's cornflakes. You're washing your face with it. You're bathing in it. You're trying to get rid of the milk because it's going to go off. So do you have that kind of product or service that has an expiration date? Let me tell you about Pastel Accounting. Years ago, I traveled with the CEO of the company. We did a road show, and he told me their business model was at that time, they had 12,000 accountants that were registered to sell their product. And those accountants had to pay them. I think it was about 12 to 15,000 Rand for the ability or for the rights to sell Pastel accounting software. So do the mathematics. Every year, you got 12 to 14,000 accountants paying you 15,000 Rand in a renewal basis every year. What a clever business model. So do you have in your business setup, do you have an expiration date built into the DNA of your company, yes or no? Because and a product or a service. Because if you have expiration, it means you can resell them again later on. And then obviously contracted months for renewal. That's a similar point to what we just said. Do you have a contracted environment where you literally are selling people on a contract, like your cell phone? I mean, I've got the ladies from Vodacom phoning me 400 times to now sell me into the next 24 months, and they're doing a pretty good job at it, I have to tell you. And obviously then service level agreements to support this. The same thing. If if you have something that's expired, you can enter into a new agreement. And these are all things that the biggest companies in the world are very, very good at this. If you think of an insurance company, you sign up with them, you pay them monthly. Every year they send you a little letter saying that we're going to be increasing your insurance because of X, Y, Z. If you think of even my car, I had the dealership phone me and it said to me, "Sir, you've got to come and service your car." So I said to him, "What do you mean? I just serviced my car the other day." And they said, "No, your M4. I said, "No, man, I sold my M4 a while ago." So they phoned me for me to go in and have my car reserviced. And so they focus heavily on the second level, third level of reselling you something. Have you got that built into the DNA of your company, yes or no? I find most people neglect this point. Right, and then obviously, is your product evolvable? It's obsolete. This example, like a laptop, I'm going to use this laptop. It's great. It's fantastic. And then I'm going to flick it on to Tristan and I'm going to buy another one because the next one is better. The next laptop is better. The next phone is better. If it's not the 12, then it's the 12 Pro, then it's a Pro Turbo, then it's the Pro Turbo with burger and chips. Can your product evolve? Because if it evolves, customers will always want to keep on buying the next one. Is that also written into your product and service? So those are just a handful of questions. Score yourself out of 10 for this particular section. So accounting out of 10, legal setup out of 10, product and service out of 10. How are we featuring at the moment? What's our timelines looking? We've already been going an hour. Can you believe it? It's unbelievable. So I think it's time for a short break. I'm going to put a timer on the screen and we're going to have a short break. And we'll see you guys in 10 minutes. So go and get yourself a coffee, get yourself a glass of wine, get yourself something, and we'll see you at the end of the countdown.
Congruence, onze...
All right. How has the break been? Did you guys get something to chat, something to eat? So I've had a couple of people message me directly just asking about the topics on Zoomination. What is Zoomination? What do we normally do? And so these are the actual topics that we focus on when we do Zoomination. Every Monday night we do this. We talk about business structuring. We talk about product, service, development, etc. We talk about choice of products, how to choose the right products, goods and services. We talk about how to silo, like we talked about just now, siloing and profit ratioing our companies, from the ground up. We talk about delivery systems, delivery mechanisms in terms of fulfillment and so forth. Obviously, we showcase different platforms. Now, what I like to do is I like to extrapolate examples from different coaching sessions that we've done. We talk about social media placement, how you use social media in your business. It's not something that a lot of people are actually very good at. And so we do social media training. We talk about marketing, advertising, broadcasting, branding. And I mean, we're in the digital age now, guys. You need to understand that now's the time that people are physically broadcasting a product and branding themselves on all these different platforms. We were talking today about TikTok and how TikTok is growing at such a massive, rapid rate. And how you're marketing and advertising is basically broadcasting your product out there in the marketplace. And then obviously we do sales. We talk about sales ladders, funneling, building engines that bring in customers, because ultimately nothing happens until a sale happens in your business. And then obviously books. We recommend books, YouTube clips. We do webinars, learning portals and so forth, which I like to share. And then we also talk about intentional congruence strategies. And this is something that I've really and truly focused on a lot for the last little while. It's quite hectic. Okay, and then obviously adapting to new threats, trends, ideas out in the marketplace. And so what happens is when you coach, like I do, I coach a lot of companies. And I'm still doing a lot of coaching. I find that people bring me incredible ideas. I also, because I read a lot, I watch a lot of online stuff. I do a lot of webinars and that type of thing myself. I'm still doing webinars. I'm still, learning, even though there's portions of my businesses are no longer around. It's about growth. It's about sticking yourself into that space. And so you need to know what the new trends are and so forth. And then I tell business stories, success stories that businesses have had, and obviously how they've applied what's been taught. Application of knowledge is more important than knowledge on its own. I know some very smart people who have got all the answers. They're incredibly brilliant, but they've got no money in their bank account. And so application of knowledge is where it's actually from. And so I'm going to have a special tonight, a one-time only special. I know everyone says, oh, one time, bullshit, you'll do it next week too. Oh, we're going to do a one-time special tonight. We're going to try it out, and I'm going to give you like a really cool special. So watch out for that special a little bit later in the evening. Okay, so let's get back to our assessment wheel. So let's talk about your team. Now they say there's no I in team. And so are you a one-man band, right? Or do you have a team to support you? Now, the key word here is teams to support you. You can be a one-man band business, but you all know the danger of being a one-man band business. If anything were to happen to you, if you were to, get ill or sick, and God forbid something were to happen to you, your business stops. And so you have to ask yourself the question, do you want to remain a one-man band? And that's why this section is called your team, the team behind you to help you grow your business, right? And then obviously, I've said you developed an outsourced team for the things that you can't do. And so I've learned one thing is that I'm really, really good at certain things, but there's a lot of things I'm really, really not good at, or there's things that I really don't like doing. And so in this team section, we're asking the question, have you developed a team that's outsourced to do what you can't do? Because ultimately the things have to be done. And like we talked about, an external accountant or, even a sales team or something.
Pragtige fasiliteite.
You can sit back and do
maar
what
my
you
vraag aan
really
jou
good at.
eintlik is nie behalwe
Have you done a skills analysis to discover what you shouldn't be doing in your business? And so I often tell business owners to go and develop what we call the not to do list. These are things that you need to stop doing, the things that you are really, really not good at. So for instance, in my case, I understand accounting, but I don't want to do the accounting. Now, I understand, doing certain functions in my company. For instance, I understand how a website is built, but I'm not going to go and build the website because firstly, it'll be rubbish. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if I'm billing out at 2,000, 4,000, 6,000 Rand an hour, and I go and build my own website, which will probably take me 200 hours if I'm lucky, I'm chucking that 200 hours down the drain. I'd rather bring in somebody, do a skills analysis so that somebody else can actually take over these things for me. So have you done the skills analysis to discover what you should stop doing? Okay. Have you employed your skill deficiency? So there's a saying out there that says you always employ your weakness. You always employ the weakness that you're not good at, that you'll probably never get good at. And this is something that's very, very important in terms of building a big, a proper business. You want to make sure that that you've got all the bases covered. And most business owners don't know what the bases are, and so they don't know, who to bring on board. But it doesn't mean you need to have a staff complement of 10,000 people. Nowadays, there are virtual PAs. There's online services. You can even go overseas. There's companies overseas that, if you need content written, you need this done, that. There's companies that do that. There's individuals that do that on an platform. And skill deficiency. In other words, somebody that can do what you don't do, right? Are you a team mentality or a lone ranger mentality? If you're a lone ranger mentality, I find very often you find people have got a very, very strong sense of self. They know that they can do and achieve anything that they want to do, anything they set their mind to, they can do it. And that is fantastic. The only problem with that is that as long as you are the epicenter of your business, right, you can never sell your business because you've got to find somebody that's going to buy your business that can do what you do. And so you can't sell your company, can't sell your business. You also, if something happens to you, your business comes to a standstill. Plus, if you want to go away, I've got some business friends that were telling me about this international golf trip, 178-day golf trip. And it was £100,000 to go on this golf trip. So basically about 1.9 to 2 million Rand to go on a golf trip for 178 days. And the woman that sells this particular trip, she said, we have more than enough people that can afford to go on the trip financially, but we don't have very many people that can take 178 days off because they are all working in their business. They're doing everything themselves. So are you the lone ranger or are you the team player? Okay. And then obviously your key employees in your business, how much time do you spend investing into them to upskill them, to train them, to become great in your company? I find that a lot of business owners are very intimidated to train up their staff because they're worried that their staff are going to pack up and leave and go somewhere else. Well, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen anyway. If you're a poor leader or if you're uninspiring, if you're boring, if you're full of shit, if you are bossy, if you are, hardcore all the time, if you're that kind of boss that people really, really don't want to see every day at the office. They kind of like, please don't come to the office and just leave us alone. If you're that kind of person, guess what happens? People will want to leave anyway. And so I always ask this question: if you invest into your team and you upskill your team, they get better. And if they get better, your business gets better. And so your key employees in your business, how much time do you spend with them? And obviously ongoing training, do you send them on ongoing training courses all the time to upskill them and for them to grow? And I've learned that there's two types of employees. There's an employee that shows up every day. Every single day they show up. They're on time, right? And they work hard all day and then they go home. And it's kind of like, the 8 to 5 o'clock type employee. And they never seek out or try and become better. They never go on courses. They never grow and stimulate themselves. They never put themselves into a space of learning, growth, to take themselves to the next level. I always say to people, people love working for me, but don't stand in front of the door at 4 o'clock because you'll die in the stampede. And we joke about this. But, you want to surround yourself with people that love learning, that love growing, that love adding value, that love becoming more. And so we talk about ongoing training programs. Sometimes you need to force your staff, sometimes you need to force your staff to physically grow and to develop the habit. Most people don't read. So I dish out CDs or, audio CDs. I know it's old fashioned, but that's what I have at the moment. And I dish out books all the time for my staff to grow, because the strength of my team is the strength of my company. And so what leadership measures have you put in place to upskill your teams, right, that support you? Do you actually have leadership measures put into place? Now, I've got probably in my library, in my office, I've probably got about 35 to 40 books on leadership. And when I know a staff member is ready, they actually come to me and they say, Andrew, can you recommend a book for me to read? Because I want to do this at the next thing. And then I just listen carefully. What is it that they want to learn? And so Michelle came to me the other day and said, listen, do you have any books on selling? And I said, sure, I've got a whole freaking library on selling. There we go. Read this book. This is perfect for you. And then, another one comes and asks me about leadership and so forth. So if you want to build, a strong team, remember, a great leader develops people into leaders. A follower just follows. They never become a leader. And so leadership measures changes the DNA of your company, because leaders bring in new ideas, leaders stimulate new ideas, leaders stimulate new business, and they're kind of on the grow all the time. Are you the person that is the epicenter that has to bring the enthusiasm and the vision and the ideas and everything all the time, or do you have a team of people to do that? Right? And then obviously, have you developed a outcomes vision? Remember, if they show up every single day, they don't know what you're trying to achieve. And so guess what they don't do? They don't strive to achieve anything. And it's not that they're lazy. It's not that they don't want to work. It's not that. It's about, what do they want? What's the big picture? Where are we going? Where are we going with this thing? And so that's why I asked that question. Have you developed outcomes and vision? So that's the team. Just some questions to stimulate the team. So score yourself out of 10. Score yourself out of 10. Now, if you're a one-man band, my advice to you is make sure that you become a two-man band or a four-man band or a six-man band, because if I look at all the things on this wagon wheel, I can only do one or two of these things really well. The rest of them, I'm really bad. And so I have to have a team behind me. So score yourself on the team. Right, our next category is client acquisition, right? 5 out of 8. The fifth one out of 8. Client acquisition. Okay, so do you have a client acquisition strategy? So client acquisition means getting customers. Do you actually have a strategy to get customers? Have you even thought about it? So most guys just go, it's a very quiet month this month. It's, nothing's really happening. And, all my competitors are saying the same thing. They're all saying it's so quiet this month. I'll tell you why it's quiet. Strategy to get new customers. And so I asked that question very deliberately. Do you have a client acquisition strategy? Do you have something to get customers? Yes or no? Second thing is, do you know what it costs you to acquire a client? What does it cost you to get a customer, right? To become a customer. So let me give you an example, is that a lot of you saw the car talk, and then I said, you know what, I'm going to give you a free session. And your time is not free, by the way, neither is mine. But some people say, wow, Andrew, you're really, really lucky, because those people on Car Talk, they're really, really, they're registered and did well. But what you don't realize, I've been doing Car Talk for 7 years. 7 years of Car Talk. Plus, I've done tons of adverts, I've done tons of education, and so I don't have 100,000 followers because it was free for me to get them. It cost me money. And so when I go into my spend, I have a look and I see I've spent, over the last 7 years in excess of between 12 and 15 million rand, getting people to my events, educating people online, putting my product and my service in front of people. And so to work out what my cost to acquisition is, right, is quite difficult in the big scheme of things. But when there's a small thing, this particular session, as an example, cost me a little bit of money for you guys to see something, for you to register, and hopefully maybe you'll buy something from me afterwards. That's how this works. And so do you know what your cost is to acquire a customer? Do you know what your average profit is per customer, right? Now we like to work on a 30-day rolling average because, month to month to month to month, so that we've got something to compare it to, the next year. That's how most people tend to do it, is that they say January last year we made this much, this year we're up 14%, et cetera, et cetera. But do you know what your average profit is per customer based on your client acquisition, your cost to acquire a client? Do you know what those numbers are? Right? Client acquisition. This is focusing on getting customers, right? Do you know what your average sales closing, right, cycle is? The timeline to how many times you need to see a client. So I actually coached a company. I can't remember the name of the company, but these guys, they went into corporates and they had to do, on average, they had to do 48 presentations with the corporate to close a deal. That's how long it took them. And so I said, well, that's fine. You're just going to do the presentations. And they said, yeah, but that was our average to get that sale closed. And a lot of companies, we'd only get to the 5th meeting or the 6th meeting. They never gave us a 7th meeting. So we didn't have the opportunity. But on average, it took them 48 visits to close a client. 48. So I know that if you're in the gymming business, years ago, I coached a small gym, and their sales guys had to make 125 phone calls a day to get 10 people to commit to come to the gym, just to come and have a look at the gym, for 3 people to actually pitch up out of the 10, and then 1 person would sign up. So they had to, the salesperson had to make 125 or so phone calls to get 1 sign up. Now, when you know that number, then you jump on the phone and you start phoning and you get the job done, because you've now worked out your average of what it costs you to close the deal. Now, in your framework, right, in your business, what are you selling, product, service, whatever the case may be, do you know what your sales cycle is, how long it takes you, and then are you reverse engineering it to get it better? In other words, where it should normally take you 125 phone calls, you could possibly get that down to 80 phone calls, because you start finding a better quality client or people that are more interested in your product, or whatever the case may be. There's a scaling that happens that we can make things, better, greater, faster, and so forth. And so what is your average sales closing timeline? And then obviously, what's your lifetime value of your client? How long do clients stay with you? Are you selling them one thing once off and then cheers, they're gone? Or are you selling them something and then trying to retain them and then keep on reselling them all the time, upselling, cross-selling them all the time? What is the lifetime value of a client? Now, we've learned, like in my industry, for instance, in our web business, our clients like us. They stay with us a long time. Sometimes they, we need to go out on our own, or, my brother started building websites and he's going to take over the website. We have that. But on average, we probably, we retain 90% of our customers because our service is good. We upgrade all the time. We're always offering new levels of value. And so we really make an effort and to build lifetime value. But do you know the lifetime value of your client base in total? Obviously, when we talk about client acquisition, where are you finding your customers? Are you advertising on Facebook? Are you advertising in, the local little rag that goes around? Are you advertising? Are you doing pamphlet drops, flyer drops? Are you doing Google advertising? You got to know they're frequent. You got to know, what type of people physically go to the gym, because it's like trying to sell me some soccer apparel as an example. I don't follow soccer, so I'm not ever going to buy that. So when you're looking for the person, you're going to find the person that loves football. So where do you find your customers at the moment? When we talk about customer acquisition, where are they? And then there's that question: what platforms are you using for your advertising? Is it Google? Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Which platforms are you currently advertising on? And obviously the frequency is very, very important. I've learned one thing about advertising online. There's a lot of noise online. There's a lot of people online. There's tons of people online. The question is, how do people get to see your product, your service? How do they get to see your business? And obviously I've learned the more platforms you're on, the more people will trust you out there. And then obviously when we talk about acquisition, we need to know how many leads are you getting per month? How many leads per month are you getting? And is that acceptable? Are you happy with the number of leads you're getting? I mean, we've just helped a customer now with Facebook to go. John serviced the customer. The customer came on board. He insisted that, Andrew Smith must do my ads. And it's like, I can't do the ads. But nonetheless, he got this guy's a kitchen company, and he got them in one weekend, he got them over, I think it was 140 leads, and they converted 10% of them. Now you think about this. If you get 140 leads and you convert 10%, that's 14 sales. Now, if you're selling a kitchen, the cheapest kitchen, I don't know what kitchens cost, 200,000, 400,000, whatever the case may be, but you've now closed 14 kitchens, and let's be stupid and say 200,000. That is a lot of money. Now, when we do the recalibration, how many leads you get per month, we can then work out how much profit you make per month. And that's why we have to have a client acquisition strategy specifically to get customers. And then obviously, what is your closing ratio? Very often or not, when you're advertising, if you're advertising to the wrong person, sometimes, especially on Facebook, you can advertise, the guy will fill in a form because he's got nothing better to do. He's sitting under a tree with free Wi-Fi. He fills the form in because he's thinking, let me fill the form in. But you're not closing the deal because you're not doing an assessment. You're not assessing that client properly and finding out who are the right people to buy from you, because your closing ratio will change if you advertise to the right people. Now, if you don't have a client acquisition strategy, guess what happens? You just shotgun, out into the ether, and then you don't close deals and you don't make business, and that's a problem. Okay. And then obviously, what's your percentage online versus offline in terms of client acquisition? In other words, how many clients are you getting through online advertising, driving people through a splash page or marketing page? A lot of guys say to me, should I have a website, anymore? And the answer is you should have a website, but there's a new trend happening in America right now. It's called a one-page website. And this is called similar to a splash page or a marketing page, it's a closing page. It's designed to sell a product or service. It's designed to get the puncture wound, to get the client in so that you can then sell them something else. And this is the new thing that's happening out in the marketplace. And we've seen this again and again and again. And so what percentage of your clients are coming offline? Offline is other platforms like your referrals, your, outdoor days that you're doing, etc., versus online. What's the percentage between the two? And then obviously, what's the ratio between new clients, getting new customers in versus servicing existing clients? I just coached a company just the other day. He says, every single month out of the 20 clients that they have, they're quite a big company. Their clients are all huge. Of the 20 clients that they have, 19 of those clients are existing clients. One client is a new client, and every month they lose a client. So they stay at 20 all the time. So they servicing, their focus is on servicing the existing customers, but they lose a customer anyway. Their focus is not tons of new customers. Now, if they had 5 new customers per month and servicing, let's just say 19, then the next month it would be servicing 24. Even if they lost one, they're down to 23, but then they get another 5, then they're up to 28. You understand the concept? So are you focusing on existing clients only? In other words, going back and just servicing existing clients, or are you focusing on growing your base? Now, I get a lot of people that come to me and say to me, Andrew, I hear what you say. I hear about client acquisition, but we are so busy right now, we cannot bring on another client. Well, what that is that's code for I don't want to employ more people. I don't want to grow my business bigger. I don't want to grow my business wider. That's code for I've given up and I'm just going to service these clients. That's what that's code for. So what's the ratio between the two in terms of client acquisition? And last but not least, your client acquisition, are you a client acquisition machine? In other words, you really and truly friggin' get a lot of customers, right? Or do you feel like I'm not really good at getting customers? I got my handful of customers and that's all I have. I've learned that if you're not a machine at getting customers, then you need to employ a machine or outsource an engine that can get you customers. Because when you have tons of new customers, you have lifeblood, your business grows and everything changes. It's a fundamental fact out there that you want to make sure that you get tons of customers that you literally you struggle to service, because you can always employ more people, or you could always, sell them to your competition. This is a good idea out there in the marketplace. Okay, so score yourself client acquisition out of 10. Score yourself client acquisition out of 10. How did you score on that one? Now, a lot of guys, I find that their focus is not client acquisition, and they score quite poorly in this one. And the next one's going to make you want to cry even more, which is the sales protocols. Sales protocols. So let's delve into the 6th point, sales protocols. So what is a sales protocol? This is a sequenced group set of behaviors to get a person to buy a product or service from you. So do you have an effective sales protocol? Do you have a sequence that every single time you use that sequence to close and sell to clients? Do you have something that pulls clients into your world, yes or no? Do you have a specific group set of behaviors? Remember, when you have a sales protocol and you have salespeople, they all plug into your sales protocol, and then they don't stray from it too much, because they've got a job to do. They've got some performance to get done. And so the sales protocol that you have allows people to plug in, and then you start getting a sort of a more consistent measure of growth and success in sales. Okay. Do you have a strategic sales mapping? Obviously, from the first point of contact through all the phases until they get to the sale. Do you have that thing built into the DNA of your business? Do you kind of, exactly which is the best way to, open, close, upsell, cross-sell, because you've been practicing it and you've documented it? How many books, seminars, podcasts have you attended to develop and improve your sales? Now, if you're in a company and you are, let's just say you're the accountant and you've opened up a business, you're not an accounting firm, but you're an accountant and you are kind of a left-brain person and you hate selling, you're then going to employ salespeople to work for you and sell your products, goods, and services. And so the question in this one would then be turned around to say, how many books, seminars, podcasts are your sales teams plugging into? So either you are growing your sales, and so forth, or you have a team or a person or somebody that is growing. How much time, effort, and money are you putting into the development of your sales team and the cats out there? Because if you're not doing that, they're never going to get better. They're never going to improve. And the more disappointment you get, the quicker you lose your sales guys who are going to leave your company. But then obviously, how many of your sales teams have you sent on courses to improve sales performances? A few years ago, I actually did training and it was quite sad. I trained up about 25 to 30 of their sales team. And when I asked them, where's the sales manager? They said, no, the sales manager never goes on courses. So what would happen is they'd come on the courses, they'd get all excited. They'd race back to go and, do their, to do their sales. And then the sales manager would say, no, we're not doing that. And we're not going to do this. We're not going to do it that way. And then guess what happened? The salespeople got despondent. So all the money that they spent on sales training was lost because the sales manager didn't think he or she needed the training. And so are you sending your team into the team and courses to become proficient? Because I'm going to tell you something, is that your staff are tired of your voice. They're sick and tired of listening to you. They're done with you. They've had enough of you. Like, you need to get someone else to tell them exactly what you felt. So I send my staff on a sales training course, as an example. They come back and they go, wow, you won't believe it. He said this and the next thing. And I said, but I've been telling you that for years. And they said, no, you didn't tell me that. They're not lucky. He's much better than you. Let me tell you something. If your business can grow because somebody else gets your team excited, don't be intimidated by that. Get excited by that. This is an important thing that you need to understand. Right, then obviously have you created directed mechanisms, like proper sales mechanisms to enhance your sales performances. And when I say sales mechanisms, I'm talking about, you go into a sale, you get some feedback, you reverse engineer every single sale. When I take salespeople out with me onto a sales call as an example, the first thing that I do when I get back is I ask them, what did you learn out of that? how I sell, I just close the deal. And so directed mechanism, a proper framework, right? A mechanism where you physically actually doing and getting the person into the framework, yes or no. Right. And then are you aggressively advertising on all mediums for exposure? In other words, you're putting your product in front of clients all the time. So you're putting your brand in their hand. Remember, a cell phone right now is the closest thing to a person. And what's happening is that products, goods, and services are being seen on a phone all day long. People, if you leave your phone at home, you will do a U-turn and go and fetch your phone, because you can't live without your phone nowadays. And so we advertise on the phone, and that's where your product should be. So which forums are you advertising on? Remember, the old-fashioned pamphlet drop and all these types of things are rubbish. Brochures don't work no more. People are sick and tired of that. And so what mediums are you aggressively advertising on? Do you have sales funnels, right, within these mediums? And people always say, what's a sales funnel? Well, a sales funnel is, I get you to see something that sparks an interest. You're kind of half interested in something. You go, wow, I want that. And then we start the journey. And that sounds funny. The sales funnel, the journey starts, and then we cross-sell and upsell along the way. And that's how we kind of grow our business. And so are you creating sales funnels deliberately, like really specifically creating a sales funnel, yes or no? And obviously the upsell, the cross-sell, what we call flow sell mechanisms. Have you got that in place? You go to McDonald's, they say, can I upsize that for you or supersize that for you? They're trained to say that. South Africa, believe it or not, do not do that. If you're in America, I'm telling you something, you freaking buy the kitchen sink and a dog when you go to McDonald's. You walk out of there with 5 other things that you didn't think you were going to buy. In South Africa, it's just, I'm absolutely gobsmacked that if I were to go to, I mean, I don't go to McDonald's that often, but if I go to wherever, very, very seldom do they try and upsell me on something. It's just like, our mentality is, so you want this and there it is, cheers. They don't try and upsell me onto something else. And that for me is, such a loss of potential profit. Remember, it costs you 7 times more money to find a new customer than what it does to service an existing customer. And so if you have the customer, you can upsell them, cross-sell them. And, when we talk about sell flow mechanisms, are you emailing your customers? Are you WhatsApping them new things? Do you have WhatsApp groups? One of my clients has got, he's got WhatsApp groups. I think there's 250 or something people per group or something like that. And they're not groups, they are broadcasts. And he sends out products and brochures and new things and specials and stuff permanently, sending the stuff out. And that's his business model. So he's constantly growing his sales thing. And obviously, do you have an automated sales environment? What does that mean? That's when we resell or we reanimate a product or a service that you purchased, or we re-stimulate, right, your market. And basically this is, I bought something and I have to now be constantly told about the next one that's come out. And so the golfing world does this really, really, really well. I go and buy a driver, costs me 8,000, 9,000 Rand or whatever it costs. I've got the driver and it's the, let's just say the Ping G30. Then it feels like 5 minutes later, they're then selling the G35. And they say that this thing hits straighter, it hits longer, never in the history of technology has a ball ever gone so far. And I mean, realistically speaking, with all these adverts, we should be hitting a golf ball 7 miles already. But they've always got the next one, and they're reanimating the product all the time. And so are you doing that in your marketplace? Are you reanimating, regrowing, pushing the envelope to take your business to the next level so people keep on buying new stuff from them, right? How far can we go with this? So how are we scoring on this one? And obviously, is your company a sales machine or not? We talk about sales protocol. Is your company a sales machine? Yes or no? Is it just, fly by the seat of your pants, or is it an actual physical sales machine? Yes or no? So how did you score? How did you score on the sales protocol section? How are we doing? Sales protocol. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the business assessment wheel. How are we scoring? So score yourself out of 10. Guys, you can ask questions on the side here. I'm not seeing very many questions coming through. Adele said, I have 3 businesses, 1 training company, 1 graduation. Let me just move my little thing over here. 1 graduation, hiring, sales, and 1 social media management. They all fall under the same PTY. Should I have each one in their own PTY when they grow? I have separate bank accounts for each one. Can you give assistance? So the answer to that question, Adele, is you've got to, firstly, if all the businesses can operate under one company without confusing a customer, then you can have it under one company. If they're completely different services and you have them, all under the same thing, in other words, the motor mechanic and the gynecologist can't be under one PTY because it just doesn't fit. I know that sounds terrible, but the best person normally to ask is your accountant in terms of taxation, tax benefits, tax write-offs. There's a whole bunch of things that you can extrapolate from that question. In my case, we've got lots of businesses and pretty much every single one of them has their own PTY because they are separate companies. And the reason we keep them separate is if I wanted to sell one of those companies down the road, that company has its own set of books. It has its own track record. It has its own profit and loss. It has its own team. And so I can then, if I wanted to sell that business, sell it off. But if they're all under one PTY, then you've got to try and separate them, split them, and it just becomes a logistical mess and a nightmare. So the best person really to showcase or to give you insights on that would be the person that does your books. Clint asked, how would you maximize the sales module in a small retail store with walk-in stores? Walk-in stores. I'm assuming you're saying walk-in customers. So look, sales, when you're in a retail environment, you've got to drive traffic to your store. You've got to do specials. You've got to do client, what we call pin drop advertising, getting people within a certain range, find out how far people are willing to travel to come to your shop. We've learned with our water shops, customers are not willing to travel 25 kilometers to go and buy water. They want to go and buy bread and milk, and then they'll buy water while they're there. And that's why we actually created those water tanks in store, because then we realized the customer will come and buy it. But you've got to have a look and see how far clients are willing to travel, and then you implement a marketing strategy to get people to come to your shop. And that's by running specials, doing something where the person goes, wow, I love that special, I will go there, until they see that you've got great items. I mean, I go to there's a butchery in Pretoria East, and I mean, for me to drive there, it's not just around the corner, but they've got the best friggin' pork belly that you've ever seen in your entire life. Now, obviously, if you're doing a Banting type of lifestyle or whatever you're eating, I mean, their stuff is amazing. So I will drive there for the pork belly, but I never walk out of there with just pork belly. I'll walk out of there with a whole bunch of other things. And so the retail environment is find a niche product that people come to you for, and whilst they are there, upsell them, cross-sell them into something else. Okay, and then are paid FB advertising more effective? Okay, Andre, let me tell you something. Facebook's business model has changed. If you do not pay on Facebook, you will not get traction. That's how it works. If you've got 100 people that have liked your page and you do an advert or something like that, or you give a promotion, no one's going to see that ad. You've got to pay to put your ad in front of people. So the answer to your question is you must pay Facebook for advertising. Otherwise, you're not going to get much traction. Yolandi has asked, what sales protocols apply to a one-man show in a mechanical workshop? Okay, so no, when you're a one-man, I mean, my dad was a motor mechanic, so I kind of understand this lifestyle. Is motor mechanics are great at fixing cars, but they're not good at marketing. They're not good at getting customers. And so sometimes it's a good idea to get someone else to do the advertising for you, or whoever it is, the person in the workshop. Get someone to fill the workshop, and then you take it from there and you grow your business from there. Get someone to do advertising to drive traffic to your workshop. Get a one-page, splash page type of advertising platform, offer a special or whatever the case may be to drive traffic to your workshop. And then obviously as your customer base grows, your business can grow at the same time, and obviously a lot faster. Johan Short asked, he says, how would you say is the best way to gain customers for a small construction and maintenance company? I've tried Facebook, but it is dead. That go and they do a split of advertising, really master it. They don't really know how to do it extremely well. And Facebook, I mean, Facebook has changed so dramatically over the last little while. John, who you saw earlier when we started today, has just recently done an online Facebook marketing training set of videos. And I sat watching that and I'm going, shucks, I haven't been on Facebook for a little while because obviously I've got people doing it for me, and I almost couldn't get an ad launched because so much has changed. So I don't think that it's a Facebook problem. I think that there's a multitude of different things that could have gone wrong. I'm not saying you don't know how to do Facebook, but I have helped a lot of small construction companies. I've also helped, even like you've got maintenance company, I've helped them grow great lead funnels and lead portals. In fact, one of my coaching students has now become a really good friend of mine. He owns a construction company and they only advertise on Facebook, and they're doing so well. So there is a trick to it. There is an art to it. It's not just go and do a Facebook ad and just try and throw caution to the wind. That's not how it works. If you want to have success, you've got to know what you're doing on that front. So guys, keep on asking questions on that one. I don't know if there's a break coming up. What's the time? It's already 10 to 8. Oh my goodness. Okay. So let's talk about fulfillment. This is 7 out of 8. So fulfillment is about actually getting the job done, fulfilling the task. So, I asked this question: do you fulfill tasks beyond acceptable? In other words, are you over delivering, under promising and over delivering? Are you doing that within the fulfillment? Is that the DNA? Is that the mindset of your customers, or rather your staff in that process? Do your clients brag about you? Right? How amazing you are, how brilliant you are. Do they brag? Do they send people to you all the time? Yes or no? Fulfillment is about the satisfaction that a customer gets. And are the clients being sent to you in their droves because you are delivering the service in such a way? Do you have a strategic mechanism for fulfilling product sales, obviously service delivery to your business offering? Do you have a specific strategic thinking, or, you think of a flight path? Are you, do you have that mentality? I heard a great analogy the other day. They were talking about an air traffic controller. Now, an air traffic controller, he's basically juggling a lot of airplanes in the sky. But there's 3 categories. There's the planes that are out there flying in, coming in from everywhere. Then there's the planes that are doing the circling, waiting for the air traffic controller to give him permission to land. And then there's the plane that physically lands. Now, which one's the most important one? Now, you can talk to all of the other ones. Those are all important, but the one that's physically landing right now is the plane that he has to make sure is kind of on track, is doing the right thing, is in the right direction, the right runway, etc. And so the same goes for fulfillment. You've got to have that focus on the outcomes for that particular platform. Right there and then, what's the fulfillment that is required? Do you have a mechanism for that? And obviously, then, do you have a tracking system for the tasks that are created and finalized? Do you have software that you can implement to be able to track how well you're doing? Software that can showcase, how well our team did. What's the profit and loss per job? What is the time it took, the time span it took to get that done? What are all these key things that you have? You have some tracking system, because if you're not measuring something, you don't know if you're getting better or worse. Remember, measurement is the fundamental cornerstone to success. You've got to measure, where you're going, so that you can get that done. Do you have a feedback system as well? Do you have when a service has been done or the product has been delivered or whatever the case may be, do you have a feedback system, some way that a customer can say, what, I really enjoyed the way you looked after me? Or a customer can, without feeling like they're getting into trouble, a customer can say, what, I'm not happy with this, or I'm not happy with that. Do you have a feedback system? Now, sadly, at the moment, Facebook or social media is the feedback system that most people are relying on, but sometimes that's too late. By the time that the feedback has been, passed back, it's too late. You've already been lashed, or sometimes you're being complimented, but you're not online and you're not checking to see, what is happening ongoing. Do you have a survey platform? There's things out there like SurveyMonkey. There's a couple of, is it SurveyMonkey? There's a couple of platforms that you can get that are free of charge for the first 2,000 customers or something like that. And then you can get a feedback, on the fulfillment side of your business. So you spend all this time getting a customer. Don't you think it's a good idea to have a fulfillment environment where, you can get some feedback so you can become better at what you do? Obviously, a checklist. It's very important to have a checklist after each task is done with a debrief. When people come back from site, is there a debrief? When people have bought a product and they've gone through the journey with you, is there a debrief? Do customers know that you guys are, that you're getting better. I mean, I went up to a place called Ochavaranga in Namibia. And one thing that the owner of the branch, he owned a spa, a spa where you go shopping, like spa. And every single day they used to walk the floor. All the staff came in. They came in at about 6 o'clock. They read out of the Bible for about 10 minutes. And then they did some training every single morning. And then they walked the shop every single day to do a debrief from the day before and check that everything was in place and so forth. And this guy won all the awards for the best spa, around the world. And this little, Ochavaranga, if you blink, you miss the town, for goodness sakes. So are you doing a checklist and a debrief on jobs that are done so you can see whether you're getting better or worse? And obviously you're doing revision sessions. We've just had ISO implemented, and initially I was like, oh, damn it, we've got to do ISO, left brain stuff. But then as we went through it and they started unpackaging this reporting process, I realized this is actually a great concept to kind of know where we're at, and the improving on service, the improving on our systems, the improving on the outcomes is part of that process. And that's why you get an ISO accreditation, so that companies that are doing business with you know that you're being thorough and that you're getting things done. And so are you doing that? And obviously you do get referrals without asking for them. I mean, when you have great fulfillment, people send people to you. You get referrals. Now, I don't believe in building my business on the back of referrals. I believe in advertising to get customers. And for me, referrals is a bonus. If people refer people to me, it's a bonus. Today's session, I can tell you that a lot of you, when you joined, we got a lot of emails, people saying, can I invite people, because I want them to join the thing as well. That's a referral. In essence, that is a referral. And so, are you getting referrals? And then rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. Are you generally acceptable, or are you flipping amazing? Rate yourself on fulfillment, right? 1 to 10. Are you just acceptable, or are you great? You know what I mean? I always say to people, I'm not really good at much because I'm flipping great at everything. Right? That's the first rule of humility. Right. So let's score ourselves out of 10. So we are almost at the end. Oh my goodness, client re-engagement is the end, but I think that we are due for a break at the moment. So I'm going to keep this little box and window open, the group chat window, while we have our little, I think there's a countdown coming. Oh no, oh my goodness, I'm wrong. There's one more to go. All right, but keep the questions coming through. I will answer them as and when. Okay, so you scored yourself on the previous one. You took a screenshot. Let's talk about client re-engagement. So obviously, number one aspect in business is the ongoing sale, and this is reselling. Client re-engagement. In other words, I'm going to stay in contact, re-engage, and continually resell you on my products and my services. Obviously, are you systematically reselling, or are you just hoping that they're going to come in and buy from you again? Like that retail question that you asked earlier. It's a systematic thing. You got to plan it. It's not just people don't just come and buy from you because you're a nice person. They buy from you because the product or the service that you offer is beneficial to them. That's why they buy. So do you systematically, resell them and get them in? Are you creating new products and services all the time? Exciting new products? A lot of the customers that I coach, I have to give them the rusty dusty talk. Their products are rusty and their products are dusty. They're old, they're insignificant, they're unexciting, they're boring. Right? If you look at the biggest brands in the world, they're always bringing out the next best thing. They're always bringing out the next watch. They're always bringing out the next car. I just saw the Apple car the other day. Wow. So, Apple makes phones, they make laptops, they make all kinds of stuff, and now they're making cars. What's the next best thing? Are you creating new and exciting products for your business? Yes or no? Remember, it's client re-engagement, keeping them excited, right? Are you researching new ideas? Are you implementing new ideas to implement for the future? Are you actually physically sitting down and thinking about this? I find we are just so busy, we're working our brains out every single day, that we don't have time to sit and think and strategize. Sometimes we don't go away and go and think and strategize. We just don't do that. Why is that? Because sometimes we're the one-man band and we're doing everything ourselves. And so are you researching new ideas? Are you bringing in new ideas to make your product reanimated, nicer and sexier and awesome? Are you creating associations with companies that can sell your products, right, on your behalf? So I'll give you an example. I coached a guy that writes he's actually a photographer, and he writes books, and he does he photographs the big five, and he does like coffee table books. And so we did a joint venture with him and a massive thing called Wildcard or something like that. 268,000 members on their platform. He did an associative advertising thing with him and sold 62,000 books in 1 month. Now, are you doing an associative deal with somebody else that can bring you customers? Yes or no? Remember, it's about client re-engagement. Are you focused on annuity income or just the odds of sale? Remember, client re-engagement is all about annuity income. Annuity being what? Ongoing money. So if you're a plumbing company, do you wait? Are you responsive? Do you wait for something to break before you charge the customer? Or do you get the customer signed up on an ongoing debit order? The plumbing debit order, 99 Rand a month. Anything that goes wrong, we fix it for you, 99 Rand a month. Sign up 100 clients, 200 clients, 500 clients, 1,000 clients. And now suddenly we've got a sexy income coming in. It's an annuity income. Are you doing that? Or are you just waiting for the sale? Are you reactive or are you proactive? Obviously, are you re-engaging daily, weekly, monthly, right? Through, whichever means you can, social media, emailing. I've put the social media reverse interaction. In other words, where we put audiences together and we just keep on marketing to these guys again and again and again. Are you doing that? Yes or no? And then obviously, are you developing teams, right, to re-engage? When you want to upsell and cross, you have to have teams that are doing this. And so sometimes you've got the person in your company that just does the sale, but they're not trained to upsell or cross-sell, and the customer walks out buying one item. Have you trained your teams to re-engage with your customers? And are you squeezing every cent out of every sale? In other words, the customer comes in to buy one tiny thing and they end up buying a whole bunch more. Are you doing that? Remember, if you're going to go and buy a small car, the salesperson, the goal with that salesperson is to sell you maybe a bigger car, but their goal is to sell you paint and fabric protection, sell you insurance, sell you a better sound system, sunroof, something. You got to squeeze every cent out of every sale. Are you doing that? Are you doing the re-engagement platform and upselling? And obviously, remember, sales is turnover. So turnover is potential profit. If you're not making sales, you're not making potential profit. And so oopsie daisy, I'll go back one, beg your pardon. Right. So in my estimation, this is probably one of the most serious points of all of them, because once you've got 1,000 customers, you can upsell them something else. This is client re-engagement. Are you doing that? Yes or no? So let's score ourselves out of 10. I think there's a short break coming up. What's the time? It's 8 o'clock. Yes, my timing is fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to stay online and I'm going to be answering questions. So please fire away the questions in the chat section over here. I'm going to put that annoying music on again, and that'll give us a 10-minute break. And we'll catch you guys in 10 minutes time. Go to the loo, get something to drink, but keep firing away. I'll be answering questions in this group. Okay, we're back again. That's 10 minutes. Hey, that music is really funky. I must admit that music is really, really cool. I'm just going to reset my recording thingy over here. As I said, I record all the sessions. I have had a couple of cool questions here, and obviously you can't all see the questions, so I'm just going to answer them quickly. Just the one question, someone said, Andrew, can you send me the recording of this thing? The answer is no, because 4 hours of me doing a screen grab recording is about 80 gigs that it copies, and so no, I can't send that to you, but you're more than welcome to record it from your side. Okay, I've had a couple of questions here, people saying, I'm a small business, and salespeople are asking a salary of, have I got my sound on? Yes, I have. People are asking for a salary of 15 to 20 grand. I can't afford it. I had a lady that was in the shipping industry, shipping business, and not shipping, in the cruise liner industry. And she had a lady that she wanted to employ, and the lady came to her with a price or a salary request of 65,000 rand a month. And so she said to me, Andrew, this girl's good at what she does, but I can't afford 65,000. So I said, well, this is what you need to do. Go and get a performance indication as to how much business she brought in for the other company, and see how much profit she brought in for the other company. And then you make the decision. I mean, if she's bringing in 200,000 rands with a profit a month and she wants 65,000 rand for that, give it to her. But sometimes you do get the opportunistic salespeople that come in that are expecting a massive income. They may be expecting a massive salary, and they've got no track record to showcase whether they are great or not. And so I have seen that happen quite often, that salespeople do expect high salaries. There's two types of salespeople out there. The one salesperson is the person that wants a 30 to 50,000 rand basic wage. They're not interested in commission. They just want to know that their salary is covered, that every single month they get the same amount of money. And then the other salesperson is the person that says, no, you can pay me a small basic wage, but I want commission, and I'll work my brains out for my commission. I would employ salesman number 2 a million times over before I have that person that comes to me and says, I need a 30 to 50K salary, because typically, they guaranteed their income. They don't have to work too hard to push for that. And so that doesn't work for me. I just, I prefer the other one. Okay, let's see some of the other questions here quickly, and then we can go on. Wow, this is a long question. Phil. So Phil is asking, in your opinion, is franchising a good thing to do? As I just view it, that when one opens up a second branch or a second or third team, the guys that are on that team never tend to really share the same commitment and passion that I do. But when someone generally forks out a lump sum of money, they tend to work or make it work. I'll tell you, Phil, I am and have been involved in franchising for a long, long time. It's not the money that they fork out that gives them the ability to do it. They can have all the greatest intentions in the world, but having the ability to actually build the company is the skill set that you want. It's not the money that they pay you. It's can they physically do it. And so I've been in, franchising where a guy had, I even had a guy that paid me money into my account. He phoned me, he said, I've paid money already. I'm ready to go. He went and signed a lease in some stupid shopping center for a water shop. And I said to him, what are you doing? You haven't been on training yet. You're not teachable. You won't listen to me. I told you not to do it. And so that person in a franchising environment would be a disaster for you. If you had that person coming on board. You've got to have people that are teachable. You've got to have people that like being part of the bigger brand. There's a whole bunch of different things or attributes. The person has to be franchise centric. They can't just be a guy that wants to be in business, because people that want to be in business for themselves, they're not great franchisees. So this question is actually I can give you a 2-hour seminar on how to choose the right person, how to interview the right person, because franchising is all about the right person. It's not about them, not being as committed as you. Remember, you own the brand, you started the brand, you love the brand. You got to find somebody else that's willing to love it, nurture it, mollycoddle it just like you. And so that's a long answer to your question. And maybe we can take it to the next level. But I do, in Zoomination, I do always answer questions like this. I actually, part of Zoomination is I have a Q&A section. So all the participants can send me questions, and I put those questions into the presentation, and we start off and we actually answer these questions, and we learn, everybody learns from all the questions, which is really, 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 really powerful. Let's just see. Andre said, can I offer a 50% commission up until they have built up a base salary and then start incentivizing? Yeah, same thing. It's difficult for me to answer this question because Andre, I don't know you. I haven't had a chance to go and check out everybody's websites and everything like that yet. So I don't know how much profit you make. I don't know what you sell. So I wouldn't want to answer this question because I'll probably put my foot in it. You know what I mean? So I'll have a look at your URL and find out what you do at a later stage, and then possibly give you a thing. Now, everybody that's in the Zoomination, I do answer questions all the time. They actually plug into me. Phil says, I'm sick of kissing people's asses. Okay, well, we all actually don't really like doing that. It's more about where you kiss them on the ass. I think this is the important side of it. And I say side of it because you want it to be on the side. You don't want to have an in the groove kiss. It doesn't work so good. But I'll tell you one thing: you shouldn't be kissing people's asses to perform for you. Leadership is a funny thing, and this is something that you develop over time, is to become a great leader in your business, that people want to follow you. I've got quite a few people that have said I've missed a few slides. Slide number 3, slide number 8. It's a little bit difficult, guys, for me to go back during the presentation and then give you the slides. So you just take a screenshot, come end of each slide, and then we can get cracking. Let me just see who else. John, apologies for being on and off, struggling tremendously. Yeah, South African Wi-Fi really sucks, I have to say. When's the right time to employ more people in a small business? The right time is yesterday. The right time is yesterday. Like I said, you employ your weakness. Just make sure you employ the business, and we all have fun together. The wrong people just give you gray hairs, so sometimes an employee can sometimes drive you a little bit bonkers. We'll answer one more question. I just want to see what was said here. Said could you maybe have the slides on the platform for us later on? Okay, yeah, the same question. Yeah, sorry guys. I know that sometimes the internet is a bit slow, and we've got kids and dogs and all kinds of different things, but there's about 130, 140 people on this thing, and we have to get through it because it's already 8 o'clock. Okay, so how are we doing so far? Have we learned anything, right? Anything that you can implement just yet? Are we at that point in time yet? Have we learned some good stuff? How did you guys score on the the out of 80 score? How many of you put your scoring in the group chat? Tell us how you scored. Remember, nobody else can see your email, your message. Only John and I can see your message. So this is a private chat. No one else can see it. Let me know how you guys scored out of 80. And let me tell you something. Anybody that scores more than 50 or 60 out of 80, you're doing really, really well. If you scored between 10 and let's just say about 30, you've got a lot of things that you need to change. If you've scored sort of around about 35 to 45, you are quite your business is an average kind of business, and that's the mistakes that you're making is what everybody else makes, and to grow your company is hectic. Adrian, good grief, 70%. Geez, you're a eister, man. 70%. That's pretty flipping good. So new startup, okay, so you still got to implement stuff. The score, our score is very low. Our score is 20%. Yeah, that is very, very low. So what happens is when you build your business wrong and you haven't got the right techniques on how to build it, to get great outcomes is tough. And I've been in that space. Guys, I've been in business for 25 years. I've had my first 10 years, my first 15 years, I hardly ever made enough money come month end because I was always doing the wrong thing. I wasn't building my business properly. I wasn't following certain business principles. I wasn't focusing on the things that mattered. I was just, working my brains out. And that's not a great recipe for a good business. And so that's why this Zoomination platform that you're on is great, because every single week we discuss, concepts and ideas and principles, things that build the businesses. I got such a great compliment about 3-4 weeks ago, one of the guys in ZoomNation, he just said, Andrew, my business has doubled, tripled since I've started ZoomNation. He said, when I first started, I didn't understand half of what you were talking about. He said, but now our business is really growing well. He's got his wife on there as well. And he's based in the UK, and he loves the platform, and his business is growing. And he says, it's not so much all the information that you give specifically, it's the other stuff that you keep on mentioning and so forth. And so, I'm seeing some of the scores coming through here, 33, 55. That's not bad, Amanda. 55 is not bad. 33 for Andre. Oh, I shouldn't actually tell anybody, shame. You guys will be like, oh, when you may score, say any. Okay, but we've got 1 or 2 guys that are up there, and if you've got a score of 50 or 60 out of 80, you're doing pretty good. You're doing pretty good. Let's just see who else. We got a 40, we got a 50. Yeah, okay, these are good. These guys are good. So once again, people are saying, please show the wheel again. I can do that. That I can do. I can show you the wheel. Let me go backwards. I won't play the 10-minute irritating music again. I'll just show you there it is. There's the wheel. So accounting, legal, product and service, your team, client acquisition, sales protocols, fulfillment, and client re-engagement. So take a screenshot now of the wheel, and then you've got the wheel if you need it. What I normally do is I actually get people to color in. If it was accounting, and let's just say you scored, let me get my mouse over here. Let's just say if you scored 5 out of 10, let's just say that was your scoring, then what I'd get you to do is to color in this section here so that you could see based on all of these. So you might be really, really good at product and service, but you might be terrible at the team, or you might be brilliant at customer acquisition and sales, but your fulfillment, you keep dropping the ball. And so when we look at the wheel, you've got this very up and down pop looking thing. And so it's a great way to see, how well you're actually doing, within the framework of this particular task. Okay, so let me go through this. I'm not going to go through our 10-minute music thing again, but here's a great book that, when I do the weekly ZoomNation is I always recommend some books that I believe are great to read. And this is one of these books that I love this book because, you want to build your business to sell your business. You want to build your business in a certain way that it becomes a profitable entity. And so take the title down, John Warrillow, Built to Sell. It's a great book to read. I recommend books all the time. And I get a lot of requests, emails where people say to me, Andrew, this is good, for this type of business, but I need management book, or I need, whichever. I want a book on social media marketing. One book I'll tell you that you never buy a book on Facebook marketing, because Facebook changes so quickly that every time I go onto Facebook, literally every time I go on Facebook, something's changed. It's just like it's a whole different planet. And so don't buy books on social media marketing. It's a waste of money. You either get somebody to do the job for you, to actually do the marketing for you, or you go and, ongoing courses, just keep on doing courses and learning and learning and learning. So this is a great book to buy. So look out for our ZoomNation. I'm actually going to have a special tonight on ZoomNation. Sorry, hold on. My vitamin C. Always have a lot of vitamin C. Anyway, so look out for my special. I'm going to do a special just now. And so we've done the first one. We did business mastery. Let's talk now about diversification and specialization. Okay, this is now the next phase. Remember, phase 1 is to master your business. Phase 2 is to specialize or diversify. Phase 3 is to get out of your business. And phase 4 is reinvention. And so let's just cover phase 2. Okay, so in terms of specialization, come on, there we go. Okay, so we all have clients. We've got customers. Today, hold on. Today, I'm sitting with one of the businesses that one of the clients that I've got into business with, and he's got 5,000 customers. They have 5,000 customers in their portfolio. And then when I asked him, what's the upsell or the cross-sell? He said, well, we just sell this one thing. This is what we sell. And I said, but where's the upsell? Where's the diversification? Where's the specialization? What makes you different? So what are you doing to sell them something else? What mechanisms are you implementing to sell them something else? Where does that fit into the grand scheme of things in terms of actually getting the next level? And so I did coaching for a security company. They've got 6,000 customers. They do guarding, and they got their cats that walk around and do the neighborhood watch and all that type of thing. And I said to them, okay, how often do you go and do a service on their gate motor? How often do you maybe sell them an electric fence? How often do you go and check out their camera systems and see if you can upgrade them to different camera systems? So what they became very, very good at was signing up customers, but they didn't become very good at diversification. They didn't specialize and they didn't diversify. And that put them into the same tank as everybody else. And that's where in my opinion, they were losing it. So if I were to say to you, what is your database worth? Right, this is a question that most business owners can't tell me. They don't know how valuable their database actually is. And because of that, they actually end up really throwing away a lot of profit, a lot of business, because they don't understand the pressure point value system. They don't understand, how to do the cross-sell and the upsell. They don't understand how to communicate with their customers in a certain way and create those levels of business. They don't ever educate themselves. I mean, I'm telling you right now, business is about re-education. You've got to keep on educating yourself over and over and over and over, because you could be sitting on a gold mine business right now. You could be sitting on a business that's worth millions, but you don't mine the gold because you don't know what to do. And if you've got a big database, I did a seminar down in Durban, met up with a guy who also owned a security company, and they had signed up 60,000 clients, 60,000 clients right on their database. And I said to him, are you upselling them, cross-selling them, anything? He said, well, I've got them in my accounting software. I don't even know how to pull the names out of the accounting software. Now, can you imagine? All he needs to do is find a specialist, somebody to help him just to pull it out, create the database, create an emailing platform, just start communicating with the customers. Didn't know how to do it. So sometimes ignorance is going to hurt you. I've always said it's not what you know that will hurt you. It's what you don't know that will hurt you. It's the things that you're not doing that will hurt you. It's the things that you're not doing that your competitors start doing, and they steal your customers, and then you are out of customers. So what is the value of your database? What are you doing to build the database? What are you doing to mine the database, right, in that framework? This thing keeps on jumping ahead of me. Okay, and obviously, do you have, can you create, I'm asking, obviously, can you create communication base with your base, obviously influence them into other products and services or purchases, because sometimes selling is direct and sometimes selling is influence, right? So you go to your GP, and what the GP does is he says, there's something wrong with your toe. I'm going to refer you and send you to a podiatrist. So he gives away his business. Now, what we do know is a doctor cannot specialize in everything. The same too in your business. You have to choose your specialization, and then you can create your price breaks. You can create your price points. And what you don't do, what isn't worthwhile, don't sell it. But if you've got a base, you've got to diversify and you've got to specialize. Because as soon as you specialize, you take the price. Please take off the Zoomination block from what? Is something going wrong here from the slide? See, I don't think you can see my chat from there. It's just this block. Sorry if that's my slide is a bit wider here for some reason. I've changed my structure. Sorry, Bridget. Right, I don't think you can see my Zoom chat room. Okay, and then obviously, are you positioning yourself for a joint venture? Are you positioning yourself for a joint venture? Oh, so the Zoomination block from the slide. John, why don't you just answer this question for Bridget, please? You're saying, please take off the Zoomination block from the slide. It's gone. So I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. Bridget, I'm not the IT guy yet. John is the IT guy. So are you positioned to JV with other companies? So here's how it works, is that one company has got a lot of favor, has got a lot of pull with their client base, they got a lot of trust with their client base, and you come along and you do a JV with them, and then those customers will automatically trust you because they trust that company, and now suddenly you can sell your products and your services through that. So diversification, specialization is about putting yourself into a space where you can upsell, cross-sell, your clients, plus of course bring in brand new customers into the fold, and that's really what you want to try and get done. right? And obviously multiplication of profits. Remember, big business is not about addition. It's not a 1 + 1 + 1 ratio. It's a 2 × 2 × 2 ratio. And so what you want to try and do is that if you have one business and you've got customers in this business and you've got another business and customers in that business, you now cross-selling, and now suddenly you get double. You do an ad over here, you get double the customers, and so your advertising costs you half and your impact is double. And so this is how we actually create the multiplication ratio in terms of profit. And so diversification is all about increasing the profit ratios. Now, when we go into phase 3 in terms of exiting your business, this now changes the rules altogether. And I say this all the time: are you working in your business or on your business? Are you doing everything yourself, grafting yourself into the grave, working yourself to death? Or are you working on your business where you're sitting on a yacht somewhere, or having lunch with your spouse and you working on the business? Which are you doing? Right? Are you building the management processes to allow you to step out of your business? In other words, are you building an entity that can run on its own? I think the biggest mistake that people make is they don't build an entity that can self-manage and run on its own. They build businesses that are dependent on the owner, and it's an ego thing where our ego is in the way, and that's the challenge that we have. The ego is slowing us down from actually creating that type of thing. Right, and obviously, are you developing a team that I call it carrying the torch to take your company to the next level? Are you doing that? I find that, like I said earlier, is that we don't build our teams because we're scared that they're going to take our customers and run away with our business, and then we don't have that business. Or are we saying, you know what would be really, really cool is to be able to have a team that have a vested interest in the outcomes of the business, and then you give them a profit share down the road. I mean, wouldn't that be really, really cool? Imagine, the team that are working for you, they now own a profit. They now can see month on month what the profits are and how they're growing and so forth. And then they work differently. So the exit strategy is based on, what you can offset to somebody else. When they asked Richard Branson what his number one core skill was, his answer was delegation. He said, "I'm really good at delegating." And I'll tell you why. When you meet Richard Branson, he's very awkward. When you speak to him, he tends to fumble over his words, his type of thing. And so what happens is you find yourself wanting to answer and finish his sentence for him, and he does the same thing when it comes to tasking. And so people just go, don't worry, you chill, let me do it for you. And that ultimately is the reason why he owns over 300 businesses, because he doesn't do the work himself. And so if you want to be a highly successful business person, you've got to learn to build teams. You've got to learn to build processes. You've got to learn to build systems to run your business to take it to the next level. And there it is, software. Have you implemented software to take your business to the next level? Business automation software, principal driver software, outcomes-based software, marketing software. Have you got software that your team can use and that you can use to build a great business platform? That's what you want to do. You want to build a fantastic business platform. That's the goal at the end of the day. And then obviously, can you start phasing your days? In other words, instead of working full days, you work a 3/4 day, a half day, quarter day, and you start slowly but surely extracting yourself from your business. A few years ago, what I did was I started putting in fictitious appointments in my diary, so that my staff would not book me up. Because obviously, if I do coaching, I get paid per hour effectively. And if I do coaching all day, then I'm stuck all day. So I started putting in fictitious appointments so that I could start getting, the staff to be doing some of the work for me. And what happened in the end was I was hardly even going into the office because the work was being done. And then the customers started enjoying working with my staff and not me. They stopped asking for me. They started asking for the team. Now, let me tell you something. The greatest compliment that a staff member can ever have is that the customer loves your staff more than they love you. And I mean, we have a stand-up joke in NVMyBrand is, the team will say, "Oh, this customer loves me way more than you." And I'm like, that's impossible. I'm the coach. And but actually, deep down inside, it's the greatest thing ever. It's the greatest compliment for the staff. Number one. Number two is the fact that you've built an entity that is a self-growth based entity. And that's really what you're trying to create. You want to make sure that your team are there to build your business. Your team are there to build a business. and that they love what they do and that they take ownership. You want to create what we call intrapreneurship. Intrapreneur. Remember, if you're an entrepreneur, you're the person that created the company, and it's your vision and it's your outcomes. But an intrapreneur is the person that loves working for someone, but they don't necessarily want to go and start their own company. They don't want to be that, the person that has the stress. Remember, when you're the business owner, you're the one that stresses all day. They say when you start a business, you sleep like a baby. You wake up every 2 hours screaming because business is really tough. I mean, cash flow is tight. Outcomes is difficult. It's hard. It's a difficult thing to do. And so your goal is to slowly but surely start phasing yourself out of your business. And I've learned the ego is a funny thing. People tend to hang on to their businesses because it's their ego that needs to be serviced all the time. I am, they have this problem with I built this, or this is my company instead of our company. We teach our staff to say us rather than me. When a person says me, they've got a problem, right? This is my division. This is my job. This is my, environment. That's dangerous. But if the person says, we'd like to help you, we'd like to grow you, then you got yourself the right people. So are you in phase 3? Are you in exit mode? Or do you want to get to exit mode? Some people don't want to. Some people want to work forever, and that's great. Warren Buffett, he's 85 or something. He still goes to the office every day, every single day, 85 years old. Maybe that's you. But maybe you're saying, I'd like to not work, or maybe I want to start something on the side. I want to start another business. That might be your modus operandi. I don't know. So if we talk about reinvention, now obviously phase 4, now we're taking it to a whole different level, because now what we're doing is you've now mastered your business. You've now developed the ability to master a company that runs on its own. And now you can step out. Now you can step out. And so in this particular example, there's 2 things you can do. Number 1 is you stop working and you take the rest of your life off and your business runs, or you sell your company, you make millions, and then you don't work ever again. But I've learned that successful people with a very active imagination and mindset typically do not ever stop working. I think the most successful people that I know, I don't ever see them stopping. I've got friends, multi-millionaires that show up every day and work their brains out every day. They love what they do. They get results. It's an awesome space to be in. But once you've mastered how to build a company, you can either then sell it, or you can reinvent. You can duplicate it. That's up to you. Remember, reinvention is about creating the engine that works to start with. And then in this particular case, we're saying choosing a product or a service that's complementary, that you can cross-sell between your companies. Let me give you an example. I own Facebook To Go, which is a Facebook marketing company. I own a website company called NVMyBrand. We build websites, one-page websites, success-oriented websites. We do graphic design. We do logo design. Everything to do with online, the visibility quotient. We've got BizBot, which is a business automation company. And, most businesses don't understand what business automation is. We've got obviously the coaching company. We've got the accounting company. We've got all these companies that service businesses. And so when we talk about a complementary product or service, I start out with, we advertise and we find people that are looking for customers. So Facebook To Go goes and finds a customer because everybody wants to find customers. So now we've got customers. Great. Now we've got customers. We need to organize those customers systematically somewhere. So we obviously then put them into a business automation software. Or if it's Facebook marketing, then what we do is we don't sell you a website. We showcase that the website that you have, or the business platform online that you currently have, is inadequate. And so then what we do is we build you an online platform for you to go and get sales. And so Facebook marketing, we get you some customers. Then we show you the inadequacy of your website. Then we build you a proper, decent website to get customers. And then now you've got lots of customers. Then we put them into a business automation platform. And then while we're busy doing this, we're showcasing that your business is starting to grow. Maybe you need to pay less tax and have a more tax efficient thing. And so then, you do business with us on our accounting level. These are all cross-selling ventures. This is called intentional congruence. This is called cross-selling genius. You have one company that advertises, gets customers, and then from that one company, you could cross-sell and cross-sell and cross-sell. So when we talk about reinvention, this is what we're talking about. We're in the space of creating complementary products, goods, and services between companies. And then obviously we create an engine that complements all of your businesses, right? We create an engine. So what I've become really, really good at is building an engine that brings in customers for the benefit of the customer, that I can then cross-sell other products, goods, and services to them. In fact, in my mind, I want to write a book on the principles of how to create a cross-selling engine. Because once you know how to do this, once you know how to build an engine that creates that cross-selling potential and can get customers across the board, then you build yourself a massive, massive business. Until then, you're going to be struggling along month on month, scratching a living on the bottom of the barrel. And that's not the kind of business that you want. You want to be able to master that first business. I get people to join Zoomination that we can get past business mastery. You can learn ideas and you can start mastering certain things. Once you get really, really good at what you do, then what we do is my speaker off? No, my speaker's on. Adele, there's something wrong with your sound. So I can't hear you. Is anybody else that can't hear me? Hey, you hear me? No, maybe it's just your sound, Adele. Could be. But the goal is to build complementary and existing business that can purport, boost, and grow your existing business. And that is when business starts becoming fun. And that's when you start making great money. And that's when suddenly, you go through years and years and years of struggling in your business. And then you go over this hurdle and suddenly business is easy. And you're going, how was it so difficult for me for so long? And now it's easy. This is a state of mind, and it's something that is cultivated over time. You have to cultivate the state of mind. You got to put yourself in a space of learning, reading books, attending seminars, maybe Zoomination, whatever else. You got to be putting yourself into that space where there's a whole bunch of people learning at the same time. This is how you become super, super successful. But I'll tell you something. Most people, they don't want to go beyond mastery because they love the story of pain. You know what? Your friends and family ask you, how's things going? Oh, it's so tough. Business is so hard. So there's no customers and COVID's killed all my business. You know what? It's not about COVID. It's about creativity. It's not about the markets are down. I mean, I've met people that have made stupendous amounts of money during COVID. It's not that markets are down. It's not that the economy is down. It's not that there's COVID. It's not that there's no customers out there buying. Trust me, customers are buying. They're just not buying from you. And so when you get to a point of business mastery, it starts creating a different mindset. And then you can start reinventing yourself, and you can then choose. Like I said, you can step out completely, sell your business and do your thing. I mean, the founder of Pastel Accounting, one of the co-founders, his name is Steve Cohen. I told you about him earlier. I mean, they sold Pastel Accounting a long time ago. I mean, I toured with him probably 15, in fact, about 18 years ago. I toured the country with him, and he had they sold their business for 800 million to Softline overseas. And he got his 400 million rand out, and he went traveling around the world. And like he says, you can only drink so much wine and, jawl and party for so long, and then you got to do something constructive. And he came back again, and he was re-employed as the CEO of the company. And then he changed the dynamics of the company because he said he needed that break. And so sometimes you need to have a different perspective thrown at you. You need different ideas, and the platform that you put yourself in has to be that of growth and outcomes. And so reinvention is the name of the game when it comes to building a great business in there. So the scaling of your business, we talk about that first phase. There it is, business mastery. Phase 2, doing the diversification. 3 is obviously your exit strategy, and 4 is reinvention. But the trick here is that once you get really good at this framework, you can duplicate it again. And the biggest and most successful business people in the world, this is what they do. They can do this. They can build a business, they get good at it, and then they go through this process, and then they see another idea, another service, another product or something, and they go, yes, boom. So they've learned how to master what they do so that they can do it again, and they can do it again, and they can do it again, and they can do it again. This is the secret to becoming really, massively successful in business. And so your first step really is understanding that you've got to learn to master your business. You can't flounder around in the dark for much longer, because you're going to get tired, you're going to get broke, you're going to get worn out, you're going to, it's going to really and truly wear you down. Your goal is to be energized. I mean, I'm actually so energized at the moment because it's, COVID has been a reset for us. It's changed the way we think. We've been forced to change the way we think, which has pushed us back into the creative zone. And we always say there's 4 zones. First phase, the creative phase, you building things, growing things, creating things, employing people, building websites, getting new products, and it's exciting. And then you slip into the management phase because you want to manage everything. And the problem with management is that management is not dynamic. Management doesn't grow a company. Management just manages a company. And so sometimes people slip into management because it's nice and comfortable to sit behind your laptop every single day. And then you slip into the third phase, which is the dislike phase. And that's when you start disliking your suppliers, your staff, you start disliking everybody and finding problems with everything. And from there, you slip into the dangerous phase, which is the detachment phase or the divorce phase, where you're not fired up about your business anymore. It's just not like it used to be. And you start hating your business, and you start hating, the going to the office. And that's when people, they either walk away from their business, or they sell it for, much less than it's really worth, or they just drive it into the ground. They drive their business into the ground. And so once you understand this concept, you'll understand that you've got to put yourself in a space of growth. You've got to put yourself in a space of discomfort. If everything is comfortable for you, you're in trouble. If you're in the room and you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You should be in the room where you feel uncomfortable, where there's other people there that know more than you, where you have to learn to shut your mouth and listen and learn. You got to put yourself in a space of growth, discomfort, and uneasiness. Because if it's too easy and everything is, so easy peasy and it's great, guess what's going to happen? You're going to end up almost self-detaching and destroying your own business. So I know that we said the session was going to be about 4 hours, but I seem to have burned through my stuff quite quickly. Okay, here's an example. Sorry, one more slide. So here's an example of multiplication or scaling. And I've done this example. I've got 1 or 2 guys that are in this chat today that were in my Monday meeting, but I'm going to do it again because it's worth mentioning. Is that one of my clients, they build kitchens and bathrooms. They can only do so many. They can only build so many kitchens and bathrooms. And so what we did with him is he took the first 6-7 months to fix up his business on all levels. And it was quite funny. Vian and I today, we laughed about it because he was in the same club CEO as this guy. And he fixed up his business. He built the systems. He put software in. He ran, everything he did. He got to business mastery. And his business is running like a train on wheels. I mean, on a train on tracks, just like working like a dream. And then what I said to him was, why don't you teach other people? So here's a question I'm going to throw at you. How can you guys make money from your competitors? How can you make money from your competition? Tell me, if at all possible, can you make money from your competition? So what he did was he went and created an online platform. Like we've got QuipRoom. QuipRoom is an online learning platform, and we help businesses actually put their courses on our platform. And he basically put together a teaching program. He started teaching other kitchen companies how to build their businesses better. And he put a price tag on there. And so in South Africa, he sold 119 courses at 5,000 Rand per course. Now, that's not a lot of money. That's 600,000 Rand. It's peanuts, right? But he got so good at marketing it that now he's selling his courses in the USA for $4,999. As far as I know, the Rand dollars is at about 14 Rand, 15 Rand. So 5,000 times 15 is, what's that, 75,000 Rand per course for the same course. So South Africa is selling it for 5,000 Rand, and in America, he's selling it for thousand Rand, and he's starting to get great traction. So here's the thing that is about multiplication. Remember, if we say 1 plus 1, plus 1 plus 1, that's 4. But if we say 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, that's not 4 anymore. Suddenly, we've gone into the multiplication business model. And if you look at this example, as simplistic as it may sound, what happens now is his skill set has changed. His skill set is now how to market the course to other kitchen companies. So how many kitchen companies are there in America? There must be tens of thousands of them. I mean, if the population is 370 million people, how many kitchen companies are there? And he can diversify into 10, 15, 20 different courses. And then he no longer has to just do his one business. He can sell his business now if he wants to. Now, he hasn't sold it. He's still building it and he still loves it. But here's the thing. What has he done here? He's done a diversification of income. He's got himself to the point of business mastery. He can exit his business if he wants to, and he's created another income. And guess what? This is his retirement income, $4,999 friggin' dollars per course. Wow. So what happens if he sells 1,000 courses a year at 75,000 Rand a course? He'll make 75 million Rand a year selling that course into the American market. How many kitchens would he need to build to make 75 million Rand a year? Do you understand the concept here? Do you understand where we're going with this? And so the first thing that you want to do is business mastery. Business mastery. Get yourself into a space and go and learn how to master your business. And don't, some people say to me, I can't afford to get a coach. I'm not telling you to get a coach. They say, I had one guy, he inboxed me and he said, Andrew, I want to know the secret to building a business. I gave him a recommendation for a book. And then he said to me, Andrew, I don't really read much. So I said, well, then you're going to stay poor. Because if you're not willing to learn new ideas, then you'll never, ever learn how to build a great business. And he said, well, I just don't like reading that much. It's not about liking reading. It's about learning how to build your business better. Don't tell me that you want to grow your business and then give me a million excuses. That doesn't work. It's just crazy. This mentality that some people have, it just blows my mind. So imagine if you could have done this. You could be doing this. And this is what I do. I help people do this in their different respective businesses. And so I think that's the last slide. Wow. We actually were flipping early, man. We're supposed to be 4 hours. We've done it in 3 hours. So you can go and drink and have some whiskey and have an extra glass of wine. But I'm going to be doing a Zoomination special. We normally sell our Zoomination for 995 Rand per month. It's every Monday evening from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Every Monday from 8 to 9, it costs 995 Rand. So that's about 240 something Rand a month. So what I decided to do, because you guys you've stuck with me for 3 hours, is I'm going to put a special in front of you. Okay. Anybody that signs up for Zoomination before tomorrow, 12 o'clock, which is the 26th of February, right? I'm going to chop that in half. I'm going to give you the weekly training session for 125 Rand per hour. Now, I charge 7,500 Rand if I do coaching per hour. But in this particular environment, I'm gonna let you sign on your first month at just $500. $500 for the month. That's 125 Rand. Now, if you say to me, oh, can't afford it, I think that you've got more problems than you think. But let's not go down that road. And then the second month, so if you sign up before 12 o'clock tomorrow, the second month, I'm going to give it to you at 187 Rand, which means that you're now paying 750 per month. It's normally 995, right, per month. And if you sign up before 12 o'clock, that's going to be the price. And then in the third month, it kicks to the normal price. So you can try me out for 2 to 3 months and see if you learn some nice stuff, and then we divert you back to 995. But what I haven't ever done before, and I'm going to be doing it now, is I'm going to be adding something else on here. Where's the extra one? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a primary member. Like when you have a medical aid, you have your primary member, then you have your dependents. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to create a primary membership. Obviously, you'll still get your special half price first month, 750 second month, then 995. But what I'm going to do is for every additional partner or staff or anybody that you want to have on the platform, I'm only going to charge 99 Rand per month per attendee. So that's 25 Rand a week to train up your staff ongoing. And we focus on business, business content, and we grow your staff. So you can have, if you want to, you can have 100 staff members on there if you'd like, or you can have 3 staff members on there if you like, but I will only charge you 99 Rand per staff member or partner or business partner per month, 99 Rand. So this is a great special price. If you register, before 12 o'clock tomorrow. And the reason it's 12 o'clock tomorrow is because our debit order runs after that. And so that's why there's a time time sensitivity on this particular thing. If you say to me, can I sign up next month? No, you can't. If you don't sign up tomorrow, before tomorrow, you don't get the special. And so you can go to this URL, andrewsmith.coza/power-zoom-room, andrewsmith.coza@power, or rather /power-zoom-room. Now, my team will email you this. They're probably going to email it to you tonight, and they're going to SMS you this tonight. And so you can come on board and you can join the Zoom room. And you know what? What's it going to cost you? It's going to cost you an hour a week. I think the biggest cost is not the $9.95. It's the commitment for the every Monday night from 8 to 9. The reason we do 8 to 9 is because then you've got your kids tucked away in bed. You can then sit and you can just enjoy the learning, and you can grow and ask questions, etc. And you can enjoy with a team. I know there's 1 or 2 guys that are actually in the Zoom room, my normal Zoomination, that are probably looking at this going, wait a minute, I didn't get the special. Don't worry, we'll sort you out. We'll take care of you in another way. Maybe we'll take care of you in another way. I'm just saying, bust a cap in your ass. So I think that's the end of our presentation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create an environment for you to ask questions for a little while. I'm going to keep my question panel open. If you guys have got any questions that you'd like to ask, I'm here to answer your questions. And I know that it's been a fantastic learning experience. I mean, I even see some of Brian O'Reilly. Oh my God, are you still alive? Brian and I went to school together, and he is over there. Wave, Brian. Wave to everybody. There he is. I haven't seen you for a long time. But the goal here, guys, is to make a decision to change your business. The goal here is to put yourself into a different space. And 12 months from now, I want you to look back at your business and go, wow, I really, really built a great entity and something I can be proud of. Remember, business doesn't have to be tough. I mean, business is tough. Let's face facts. We all know it's tough, but it doesn't have to be as tough as what you guys are making it. And so I'm going to hang around for a handful of minutes and answer any questions. Obviously, I'm not going to open up the floodgates and turn the sound on. There's too many of you in this framework, and it's just a noise because then everyone's trying to ask questions at the same time. So I'm going to stay online. You guys are more than welcome to sign off at any given stage. I know that you can't see the questions, but you to copy and paste in this framework, I've been told. So if you want to ask questions, guys, please feel free to kickstart and get going, and then we'll be online for a little while, and then we'll be doing Arrivederci. I know some of you are just going to go and register and get started and get going. Some of you are already saying thank you. I'm fired up and great. Thanks, Henry. That's a lovely compliment. We lost a part of your presentation. Did we miss your special? Oh my goodness, Nita, don't worry. Our team will send you the special. So John, just please remind the team just to email everybody and send them the special. So in case you missed the special, I don't know why you wouldn't have got that, but there it is. So if you guys have got questions, ask away. If you guys want to hit the road and go and chill, please stay safe. Just remember, COVID is real. I know a lot of people think it's not real, but this is a real issue. Look after yourself, stay safe. keep your company safe, and you know what, equip your staff, equip those people around you. If you want to have a great life and you want to have a great business, make sure that you spend time, energy, and money to build your staff around you, because you can then have a fantastic business in the future. So I'm going to kind of sign off just in terms of my picture. But in fact, now I'll keep my picture on here. If you guys are asking questions, I will answer them in this framework. John, am I spotlighted? Am I spotlighted over here, or is it?
No, you still spotlight?
I'm still on spotlight.
Yes.
Can you guys see the hairs in my nose? You see that? No. Okay, so let's just check. Are there any questions? No questions, but thank you. I've learned so much. It's a hell of a lot more than I thought I would get. Also, I think the secret for me will be to upsell and diversify. Absolutely, 100% spot on. Let's just see. How would you put a value on a business? What method would you use? Well, normally people use the EBITDA system in terms of valuation of a company, but you know, there's a lot of extrapolations. The best way to do this is actually go onto Google and say, right, how do I evaluate my business? But actually put the name or the type of business that you're in there, and you will be able to get 3 to 4 different extrapolations on how to value your company. Every business is different. There's things that affect it, like goodwill and, you know, a couple of other factors. So a good way to do it sometimes is actually get yourself a business broker, somebody that sells businesses, and ask them to come and do an evaluation of your company, and then let them give you an explanation. And don't be shy to pay for it. You know, so many people are like, no, I don't want to pay for it. It's too expensive. Let me tell you, I would pay 50,000 Rand to understand how my business is valuated, so that I could build my business in the right way, to build a value into it. I would pay for that, because there's a lot of value in understanding that equation. And so get yourself somebody that can come and give you an advice. In this platform, I wouldn't want to do it, but just look up the EBITDA system, EBITDA, right? Go into Google and type in EBITDA. What is EBITDA? Where do you see the South African economy going in the next 2 years? You know what, Clint, I don't look at the economy. I create my own economy. One thing I've learned is you don't wait for the economy to come to you. You go and build your economy around you. And so you build your business that brings in business. You create your own engines inside of your own engine. And then you don't worry about the economy, and you don't worry about how well anybody else is doing or how well the economy is doing. I think that the government is a disaster. I think that, you know, pretty much 95% of everything is broken. But let me tell you something, out of the ashes of everything that's broken comes the greatest seed of opportunity ever in the history of anything. So I never look at the economy for my pulse on how things are doing. I look at my ability to turn it into money. That's where the real value is in terms of an economy of any kind. The American economy right now, there's people over there complaining that Trump is a total, you know, idiot, whereas there's other people over there saying it's the best thing that's ever happened to America. It's just perspective, right? There is no disaster zone. Apple. I know it's really, really tough for you, Ox. You know, when you got Apple, I just look at my screen and it does a screen grab, because that's what Apple does. It's tuned into my mind. So get an Apple. Come on. But thanks so much, Andrew and John. This was great. Thank you, Lachelle. That's very sweet of you. What do you say? Completing. But yeah, I didn't join Zoom earlier. Okay, well, don't worry. You can sign up now. You're good. We'll have you in ship shape, Phil, in a very short amount of time. We'll kick your ass, get you going. Training. I was in one of your sessions in Cape Town where I met you and got involved with your training. Okay, Hein. Yes, I remember you, Hein. I do remember you. Apple is awesome. Yes, Henry, you are right. Apple is awesome. These oaks that don't have Apple, I feel so sorry. It's so sad for me. It's like going to a funeral when I watched them take that laptop out. And this brick, you know, it takes 4 hours. It's terrible. so Chris asks, is it a good idea to keep customers updated via a short Zoom session, virtual face-to-face? I'm in the manufacturing business. Chris, let me tell you, any kind of connection to your customers is a great connection. If you're comfortable in front of Zoom, then do it. But I'm just going to give you a little tip: is brand yourself. Have a look at John. Look at the branding behind John. Right? John is sitting and he's branded. If you're going to Zoom someone, make sure you don't have light shining from behind your head. I'm just amazed at some people. Their Zoom session is so terrible because the lighting is bad. They have the dogs barking. They've got staff walking in and making a racket. You want to brand yourself, and you want to make sure that is a great zone to be in. And so, if you're gonna do face to face, it's a great strategy. One of the companies that I coach, they actually, instead of having a sales team, sales reps, they started booking Zoom sessions and giving their customers great tips on how to make their businesses a lot better. And so they did really, really well. King's Deli is more awesome than Apple. Llewellyn, I do agree with you. It is very nice. King's Deli in Linwood Bridge, very, very nice. But that's not a business question. Okay, so if there's no more questions, if you guys are too scared to ask questions, I'm going to be too scared to answer the questions, and I'm gonna disengage and kind of hit the road running. I'm just going to stop this recording. So we've got an opportunity for 1 or 2 more questions. Oh, here's a big one. Oh my word. Okay, hold on. Thanks, Andrew. Information is okay. I just added a bonus. I always find myself laughing out loud watching your presentations. I've not started trading, but it keeps on jumping up. Haven't started trading, but I'd rather find myself stuck in the strategy planning part of the business. Okay, so some people have what we call analysis paralysis. They sit and overthink their stuff too long before they actually get started. I've been beating myself up about it, but realize how important it is. I'm glad that I've had put in the time and effort that I'll be able to start. Okay, so here's the thing. Chardonnay, I'm assuming it's pronounced Chardonnay, is that you want to get out of the thinking zone and get into the action zone and start getting going. Because you actually learn when you're moving forward. Think of a car, when the engine's turned off and you want to turn the steering wheel is extremely heavy. As soon as you turn the car on and you start rolling forward, then the steering becomes light. And that's how business works. If you sit thinking about business and what you want to do all the time, what ends up happening is you get scared, and you start building false fear, and you start getting afraid. So don't wait, just get going, plug into the learning, start learning and start applying, and baby steps, just baby steps. Okay, Sue says I've gained 10 points of things I need to jack up. Okay, thanks, Andrew. Okay. All right, so it looks like those are the last of the questions coming through. Oh, hold on. Heinz says, as a small business, one of my fears is losing branding, joining JV. I don't understand the question. As a small business, one of my fears are losing branding, joining JV. I don't understand your question, Hein. I'm assuming if you JV with somebody else, you lose your identity. I'm assuming that's what you're saying. I'm just guessing. When there you go. When you're joining joint ventures. So look, I mean, you've got to be secure within yourself. You've got to have your products properly in place, and you've got to have a proper SLA or proper contract between yourself and a big company. These are very important. So you don't go and do a joint venture with a big, massive company unless you've got proper paperwork in place to protect yourself from the bigger entity if they are bigger than you. But don't be scared to joint venture. Remember, at the end of the day, your products get exposed to customers, and it's how you use that interaction in that database will determine how successful you are in the future. So just don't be scared. Don't be scared to grow. Don't be scared to take chances. Don't be scared to jump and take the leap of faith. Don't be scared of the false fear. They say fear, the acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. 90% of the things that you worry about never happen, ever. And when that does happen, you deal with it. Think about your life. Every problem that you've ever had, you've had to deal with it in some way. Some of them you handle them really well, and some of them you handle them really badly. But you handle them nonetheless, and you are where you are. Now what you need to do is take yourself to the next level, and whatever else. Henry's asked over here, what's your opinion? What is safer, partnerships, JVs, or no difference? Look, a partnership and a JV is two completely different things. Partnerships in businesses is a physical entity partnership, signing of a contract and so forth, whereas a joint venture, that's a totally different thing. So that book that I put on there, Built to Sell, it's a great book to read. The answer that you want is actually in that book. Andri says, what advice would you offer to a small, stop moving around here. Where are we? Sorry, it's just every time somebody puts a new comment, it jumps up. What advice would you offer to a small business who don't even sell their own product yet? Offer to a super small business who don't even sell their own products yet, but are distributors for well-established other brands, dog food to be more specific. Okay, so you don't have your own brand, you're a reseller of a bigger brand. Well, what's nice is when there's a bigger brand that's already famous, you know, if you're doing Yukonuba or you're doing Royal Canin or something, these big brands have already got traction. The only problem is that you have a lot of people also selling that product. And so, you know, now you're suddenly competing with every vet out there, and you're competing with every pet shop because they're all selling the same product. And that's a tough sell, because now it becomes a price thing. I can go and buy Royal Canin for XYZ price, and I can squeeze them on price because it's the same packet with the same product, right? If I have my own product, I determine the profit, I determine the sale, I determine the brand traction, and nobody else does. So you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. You're either going to go and develop your own formula, you know, whatever it is, become, you know, strategically different, or you have to become better at marketing than anybody else. But this particular marketplace is a tough marketplace because it's controlled by the big guys. That's what I know about. I coached a lot of vets, and I've coached a lot of people in this space. And you know, trying to create sales portals and sales funnels, you're up against everybody else because everybody knows the product already. Customers know what the product costs elsewhere. So it's not easy. It's not an easy fixed type of thing to do in that framework. All right, guys. So this is the end of it. I hope that you cats see the value. I hope that it's been good for you guys tonight. Thank you for your time. It is already 9:15 at night. I know a lot of you, it's past your bedtime. Brian O'Reilly, you need to go to bed because, you know, I'm just saying, got to go to bed. Men of our age need to hit the hay early, but have a whiskey before you go to bed. Very important. And we'll catch up with you guys on the flip side. I'm looking forward. Oh, Chris, how's it? We'll catch you guys on the flip side, and we'll see who of you guys sign up, and then obviously whomever you are, we're going to see you on Monday at 8. What time? 8 o'clock. Monday 8 o'clock. So this thing runs every Monday night from 8 until 9. Sometimes it goes until 10, but those are normally just Q&As and all that type of thing. But guys, it's been great. I hope that you guys have a lovely evening, and look after yourselves, like I said, and we'll catch you guys next week. Take it easy, and yeah, chat to you soon. Cheers.